cozy.
Hope everyone's got their tea and their cat to pet.
My cat is keeping watch out the window. Make sure Helene doesn't come. Up to 30 with some note takers, with some AI bots, so maybe less than that. Okay. Welcome everybody. Good to see you folks. Thanks for everyone for being flexible on Helene Day and being able to join remotely. Anna Kay was the first one that asked me about this, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's just gonna rain, right? So glad that and I got some more emails, so glad that y'all helped me out. And hoping everybody is safe, hoping everybody's family is safe and all that stuff. There's a big chance that my power will go out. So I will make do and pop in another time if your power goes out. We will figure this out. But thanks for coming to class. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to put in I think Rostin shared this with you before. So Rostin won't be able to make it. He had other stuff booked. But if you look in this Google Doc, it'll give you a sense of what we'll be talking about, what this 3 hours will look like. And it's gonna be prototype unveiling, feedbacking, and then small group time, and then big share out. And what I would like for us to feel good about today by the end of class is having a good direction, incorporating the Village Skatepark's feedback to each group's prototype, and to have a good direction of like next steps for us as a collective to decide what we're gonna do in next class. So the three for the next for today, the next 2 classes, we'll have refining our ideas today with feedback, and then present again at the top of the class next week, and hopefully in person. And then have by 4 o'clock next week, we should know what we're doing. And so we'll spend the rest of the class working, hopefully with Laquanis or Joe, to talk about fabrication, but we're gonna decide what kind of fabrication today. And then the following week, we're gonna release it into the community. So yeah. So does that sound good for today? And then the next 3, yeah? Y'all ready?
Woohoo.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh, I think TK is here too, cool. So TK and Max should be here. I think Jordan from the village is here. So we have some villagers, which is great. So does everybody see I have some like 12, 15 people in the Excel sheet. So you should see at the bottom of the Excel sheet, the Google sheet, hey TK, there is everybody's groups. And what would be really helpful is for everybody to rename themselves with the emoji icon connected to their group. So let me share my screen so you know what I'm talking about. So you see at the bottom here, you see wayfinding, skater comms, spectators, new friends, street food, storytelling, and young people. There is an icon next to it, an emoji. So can everybody rename themselves? If you're Jackie in the skater comms group, you put a little alien next to your name and then your pronoun. So it just needs to start with one of your emojis. And I can stop sharing. Yeah, we got some friends. New friends are here. I can see if I can pull up the emojis for you too, so you can just copy them.
So, Roshani, I have no idea how to do that. I'm sorry. I'm so electronically challenged.
No, that's okay.
I'm just gonna have to admit it.
No problem. We're all learning. So if you click the three dots in your rectangle, you should see a prompt for rename. You see that? Okay. And then, okay, great. Some people don't know how to do it. So that's how you do it. But then if you go into the chat box and you click on the emoji icon, you can select your emoji. So Colleen, you're a skater comms. So you're, what is that thing called? Is that an alien? That's like a video game alien. Let's see if I can pull it up. Here it is. Yeah, Paul, you're right arrow. Your group's right arrow. It's this guy, and then we got a sandwich. We got some food. Yeah, y'all are getting it. And then you just put that in front of your name, and then you put the rest of your name. Your view only.
Oof.
Amita, I'm sorry. What do you mean your view only? Can you not change your name? Let's see. That is weird. What are you? You are storytelling. I don't know why y'all are view only. That makes me sad. Okay, I just renamed you Amita. And then Erica, where did you go?
We could potentially pop the emojis in the chat. Also, people might be able to copy it from there.
Yeah. Jackie. This is fun. I think Jackie, you're changed. Erica, I need to, where did you go? There you are, okay. And Erica's food. Ah, thank you, Antonella. Who else needs help? Eddie and Colleen, okay.
Maybe raise your hand if you can't change your name so we're able to see it. Or use the hand raising emoji.
Haven. Yeah, I got you, Haven. Eddie, you're a sandwich. Got you, Colleen. So y'all have been renamed. Anyone else needs help? Cool. Antonel, do you see anybody else? Oh.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm renaming Majira right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody from each group is here, right? Is anybody missing, or is there only one person from a group? We had that.
I think there's some people missing still.
Okay.
Tara, it will be here at 4 o'clock.
I'm sorry?
One person from our group will join at 4 o'clock.
Okay, great.
Tara.
Okay, great, right. Okay, wonderful. So, since we're all renamed and we know which groups we were in, I'm gonna share the feedback circle that we're gonna use to figure out who's giving feedback to who. Okay. Everybody see that? Okay, so each group is in a circle. The way this is gonna work is that one group is going to start and they're gonna decide who they want feedback from. So let's say, for example, spectators, they can choose if they want feedback from skater comps or from new friends. And that will determine the direction of the wheel. So let's set that up first. And so the feedback, so the idea is that each group will share their prototype. And I know, thank you so much for pivoting from like real life to online. So we will do our best to like believe and understand your vision. And so after you share, you'll hear from Max and TK. You'll hear from the Village folks, Max and TK, from ARC, and from your chosen group to lead feedback. Obviously, everybody can give feedback, but since we have 8 groups and we have limited amount of time, I just had to create some kind of system so that everybody can at least give feedback, everybody receives feedback, and that we're co-designing with the Village. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions or anything? Okay. Now, once we select the way that we're going and who's going first, we'll talk about how we're going to give feedback. So I'll stop sharing. Well, I won't stop sharing. Which group would love to share their prototype first? And I can't see everybody, so you're going to have to unmute. No one. Come on.
I'll go.
This is Gavin?
Yeah.
Okay. Gavin, you are street. So Gavin, you and your group, would you want feedback from new friends or food?
Does anyone from streets have an opinion if they would want food or new friends?
No, I'm ready.
I didn't quite hear that.
Sorry, Gavin. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. New friends
New
for
friends.
500.
Okay, great. So this is the direction of our wheel. So new friends, you're gonna give feedback to street. And then the next group will be food. And then street will be giving feedback to food. And then the next group will be storytelling. And then the food group will be giving feedback to storytelling, and on and on. Is that making sense? And again, I'm just saying that like we'll have a lead group just give feedback, but everybody obviously can give feedback. I'm gonna stop sharing. So does everybody know when they're going? Or what after who you're going? Okay, somebody from your group should know. So I'll stop sharing. And then now, the way that we're gonna give feedback is this way called Rosebud Thorn. Has anybody heard of Rosebud Thorn before? Gavin? Do you wanna share what you know about it in feedback land?
From what I remember, we used to do this with a arts organization I used to work for, where you give a rose, which is like a compliment. A thorn, we only did rose and thorns. So rose is a compliment, like something you like about it because it's a rose. A thorn, which is something that spikes you, is something that's like, oh, I dislike this. And then I don't know bud. Bud is something that could be birthed or like, oh, that's interesting. Can we grow this? Is that right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So I love that you've done this before. So yeah, we're thinking in three kind of like areas and giving feedback. So rose is like, oh my God, that works. Brilliant. This is so good. Da, 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 da. Thorn, it's like, oh, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if that makes sense. It's not kind of working. And then bud is that kind of area where, yes, as Gavin just said, like there's a lot of potential here. It can grow. I could see it if there's some modifications. Does that make sense for everybody? Cool. So what I would like is to make sure, I know that Max is joining again. They were having some technical difficulties, but TK, if you could unmute and just like say that you can, I want to hear from Max and TK to make sure that we can hear you and that you can hear us and see all the things.
I can hear y'all. What things am I looking for? I can see faces.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
I can hear and see. I also have a notepad.
Amazing. Taking the notes. Great. So we're gonna have Max and TK. Maybe y'all can be the street team. Maybe y'all can be spotlit. Whoever's gonna talk and share your prototype. And then Max, TK, RC, we can respond with Rosebud Thorns along with I forgot which group. New Friends group.
Oh, sorry.
New Friends is, but yeah, Street's gonna go and then New gonna respond, right? Okay. All right. Sorry. Can you spotlight the street team, Gina? Not us. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That was my mistake. Thank you. All right. Anybody else from the street team, or who's going to present?
I have the prototype, but if anyone else from the team wants to add stuff along the way, you're more than welcome to. Laquita, I was gonna start with like the information you started the group off with a little bit, and then head into the prototype. Hi.
Sounds good, Gavin. I like that idea. I for some reason I'm on my work phone, but I do not have access. My work phone doesn't have like camera access.
Okay.
I came to my camera. I've been trying for 30 minutes now, but I still can hear and I can still see the screen. So yes, Gavin, take it away. Definitely display your prototype and the ideas that we discussed last week.
Awesome. Is there any way to share? Can I still share my screen with everyone?
You should be able to. Do you need?
Okay, cool. I was just checking. I didn't know if people are highlighted, if that would affect it. Okay, one sec. Okay. Hi everyone. Can everyone see my wait? Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi everyone. This is Streets team. I can't remember what number we are, but we're Streets. And our prompt was to, how long do we have? Just so I'm kind of aware of time.
Great question. Let's keep it less than, we're gonna do prototype sharing and then feedback. Would love to do 10 minutes for everything.
Okay. Okay. If someone could give me like a 5-minute or like a 3-minute check just so I know where I am, so I'm not like rambling or something.
I got you.
Appreciate it. So first thing, boom. Okay, so this is top-down view of the streets and that front pavement area of the complex. And one of the things that Laquita mentioned, like in the beginning phase, is just like that street's kind of like a strode, which I don't know if people are familiar with that comment. Like it's combination of like a pedestrian street and like, or not strode, it's pedestrian street and a highway. Anyway, lots of traffic, not many areas to actually cross over the street. So it's kind of like an intimidating street, even though there's a bike lane which runs right in front of the complex. After that, the bike lane's gone and the streets are kind of wild. If you note in the photo, if you guys can see my cursor in the top left side, that is the Martyr stop, which is just open. There's no cover. There's no seated area. And as we walked down the main street, probably 4 more blocks before you get to another Martyr stop, which I'm going to show you landscape view. So this is 3 different photos. The center one is that Martyr stop corner. The one to the left is just like right in front of the skate park. So it's all just gated off areas. Really, it's just like sun beating down on you, nowhere to stop if you're waiting for the Martyr. And that last picture, which is a woman that I photographed waiting there for the bus. And she's on, I don't know if you can see, like a little piece of concrete. And there's other pieces of concrete that people sit on as they're waiting for the bus. I was walking around for like 45 minutes. I came back round. She's still sitting on the same piece of concrete. I hated that. And after speaking to the group about it, it's like, why don't we like try to make some just care for the people on the street, right? If they're walking in the street, if they're waiting for Martyr, if it's in front of a skate park, or if it's like a block down or a couple of blocks down on either side, wouldn't it be great if they had some cover? So while they're waiting a half an hour for their Martyr train, for their bus, they have somewhere to sit and they have some cover. So that was the impetus to to the prototype. And let me get into the prototype now. So I'm gonna close my screen. Actually, wait, let me get myself in position. Okay, let me turn this off. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
and I love what I'm seeing.
Great, that's a great first answer. So this is a covered area. So this would be for that larger section right in front of the skate park. So what we have, the fence. We have information on the fence, wayfinding. I'll let the wayfinding people get into that. But some of the stuff I put in here is, I don't know if you can see, but it says skate park and it says Atlanta Forest. And then it says, hey, take a rest, free for all. So this is just a general area where if you're walking from the motor station home, and it's a hot day, you just need somewhere to chill for like a quick second, you have a covered area. What else do we have? We have a half pipe, but not a real half pipe. It's like a bench half pipe. So in the image of a half pipe, but it's seating area for all. So you can like just take a seat, you can rest on it if you want to. Just a nice little chill area. This would be a multi-use area. So we're inviting the public to come in here and just like take a load off for a second or engage with the information that's on the board or just feel cover. I have these little blocks here, these little blocks right here. These are also like additional seating areas. So all this I'm imagining is made out of wood plywood. I know that might there's issues with like, how's that going to do outside if it gets wet, blah, blah, blah. That's why we have a covered little section. Also had a thought of like, oh, what if we made a huge quilt out of remaining materials that have information on it about the skate park, about skaters and like what they like about skating, just general information, but it also makes it a little bit more comfy. The cover would be made out of, the canopy cover would be made out of old recycled or used parachute material, which I have some of, so that could be a free material that we use. So this is the main one in front of the skate park. We also have this one, which is on the corner where the bus stop is. So you still have cover. You have those small little seating areas just for people waiting. We might have a little raised garden area just to beautify it. We still have information in the back. There's a lot of talk, especially about doing raised beds. So this would be a perfect area to do like 1 or 2 small raised beds that could be for vegetables or it could just be for plants. And the same thing here. This could be raised beds. We could have a couple smaller ones, or we could just do the bench. My idea would be to put this on casters so it's easy to move in and out. This same canopy idea would also happen at those other bus stops that I mentioned. So there would probably be a total of 4 canopies, 2 at the closest bus stops on either side of the skate park, and then 2 in front of the skate park, 1 at the corner where the bus stop is, and then the other one, which is this one, which is where that main opening is next to the entrance. A couple of things that I did not include that I thought about that we thought about is the pavement in front of, or in the entranceway, and possibly the bike lane would all be painted. So there'll be murals all on the floor leading towards that entranceway. So the main thing is to like really highlight that area with color, with vibrancy, with information, with soft seating, to make an inviting area, and then have small little satellite versions on the bus stops so people who are not in front of the skate park still feel that they're being supported by the skate park. And I think that's kind of the main thing. It's like not just to do this in front of the skate park, but can we have, if we have the ability to do all along that main street, hitting 3 or 4 bus stops to make sure that they are covered. They might not have the seats, or they might just have the seats, and we might not have enough material to do the canopies at each one. But if we can, I think it would be beneficial to do as many bus stops as possible. That's what I have. Does anyone else from the group want to add anything to it? And I hope I didn't over talk. All right, go.
No, you're at the 8-minute mark, but really good job, Gavin. I love that. I like that you got all of our ideas and put it together and made this creation. So I'm here for it. I just wanted to point out some challenges. So everyone, as you're thinking about this, maybe if it's become a practical thing, then of course, we have right-of-way issues and MARTA issues, but this is a very good actual visualization of what we thought about. So yeah, open to any questions and feedback.
Okay, since Streets went first, everybody just give them so much love. Congratulations, this is great.
Ooh.
Really great job.
That was tight.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna unspotlight y'all. Okay, maybe we should just not do the spotlights anymore. But okay, so it is going to be new friends, and then Max and TK. What are your? We only have. If anybody has a strong rose, bud, or thorn for the Streets team.
Just kudos to Gavin and the team for thinking about mobility and accessibility and just protection from the elements for the people in the neighborhood. I really like the concept. Not sure about any thorns or anything, but just thank you for that design. It's really dope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, one thing I do also want to note is for the people that are receiving feedback, your group, when we get into our small groups, you're going to write out the feedback that you've heard. So please just be attentive to the feedback that people are giving. Sorry, go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome resource, and there's definitely not enough cover along Donnelly Hollowell in general, and I definitely notice a lot of people walking that route to get to and from MARTA. I could definitely see on a day like today that being useful for folks. I think one thing that this is leading me to, as far as one of the potential uses that we might not have been thinking of in this setting, is that there's a lot of people who might be unhoused who might also be sharing this space. And how do we design them into this plan? How do we provide access to resources or ways of making sure they're safe and the people sharing this space are safe? And I could see it being a place that people might not want to share. And what are some ways that as we design it, we can think about kind of how we continue to interact with that space and not just build it and leave it there, but how we might be able to continue to support people who use it.
Cool. What other rosebuds or thorns?
Thanks for that feedback. That's really good things to think about.
I had a thought on that, if I can say something real quick. Whenever space gets activated, the way I see activating space is now it needs to be, it's not just activate and leave, it's activate and how do you attend to it? How do you like, yeah, how do you attend to it? So even like the thought around this is, okay, the element of adding quilting might be removable during certain times, but this might stay out, so then it is used at night for house people, or there might be a smaller version that we put out to kind of support unhoused community, because they still need that. Like, I'm constantly seeing people not get unhoused people not getting support at all. So my thought is that, yeah, there might be, or most likely there'll be people there using it. But usually when unhoused people are using it, they're part of the community anyway, because they live within that area. And it's like, okay, is there a way to get to know them better and form these relationships by like giving them a form of protection, at least from the elements. So then it becomes more of an active relationship with these people instead of like this passive one that we usually engage in.
Yeah. I've always dreamed of living under a half pipe. So I would love to be able to offer that to people. That'd be cool.
TK.
Yeah, I really like the idea. One of the things that, or like, yeah, I guess one of the things that I was just considering would be, like permission from, like, I guess like either MARTA or the city, because like the structure, we would have to obviously make sure it's secure and safe. So we would have to, dig a couple of feet into the ground to make sure that the posts are stable. And yeah, the construction was one of the things I guess had a question about. And then just how to go about making sure that we don't build it and it gets torn down because it doesn't, because we didn't like have the correct permission or permits. But yeah, I really like the idea. Um, I think that it could be a lot of benefit from for the community, with an installation like that. I think it would be really cool to add, um, maybe like the food bank or like a clothing bank. I know, like I've seen those around the city. I think something like that could go really well with an installation like that. Um, I guess a thorn, I guess, would be maybe the quilt. Just things like trying to stay away from things that could get gross really fast. Um, but yeah, other than that, those are my ideas about it. But I really like the idea about it, and I think it could be a lot of help with finding the skate park. Because we could just tell people to look for the half pipe when they drive by. So, um, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you, TK. Thank you, Max. So we did get some roses and I think some buds. So Stephen, Kelsey, Jennifer, do y'all have any quick thorns? I'm gonna make y'all say the thorns or buds or anything different to add.
I think one bud that I would like to see, I think it's also we're on my group was talking about it, how super similar was to our idea, our prototype, but we had just maybe considered making it mobile, and so offering it to different communities. So we added wheels to ours, but ours is very similar. I'm just excited to see what other type of mobility, like access, it can have if we're going to be doing it like they said, on all bus stops or just one bus stop, and how many, who do we need to get it approved by the city, things like that. But making it mobile or having an option for wheels or have it be moved is something that we were considering.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, I have some feedback. Fucking amazing. I love that there's different iterations And I think the strongest thing about it is that you're using something that's already being used at the skate park and bringing it from the skate park world into the outside, right? So that shape, that ramp, all of that, that's brilliant. You don't see that at any bus stops. So that's super smart. I didn't even think about using that fence for information. So if anything, that is a great takeaway that can happen where whatever information the skate park, because there's neighborhood meetings going there, you know, like there's, and I think the biggest conceptual thing that this offers is that the skate park isn't just for like skaters hanging out. It's actually a big community resource there, and they have a garden too. So if there's like a garden bed there as well, they care about their neighbors, whether they're houseless or not. And they care about skaters, and they care about people feeling safe and comfortable when they're riding the bus because the transportation sucks. So I think that is a really great and strong concept. I would say the thorn is just what TK was saying about like the actual possibility of it because of like MARTA restrictions and things like that. But this is yay for creativity and for like thinking of like what you can do, who you want to do it for, and incorporating the skate park's culture into it. So big round of applause.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say, me and Max have talked about this a lot because there's a lot of skate spots, like spots to skate just at different MARTA stations. So maybe like proposing an idea like this for proposing an idea like this could be like a genesis of building a relationship with them. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Awesome. Totally. We can totally do that. Okay. For the sake of time, we're going to move on to the next team. So we're going to New Friends, right? New Friends. Y'all are up.
Awesome. Hey guys. Happy afternoon, everyone. I am Steven, and my group was me, Charity, Kelsey, Jennifer, and Tyrone. And so there are a couple different angles we approached kind of like the New Friends concept. Because like it's been mentioned, there are already a lot of cool things going on at the skate park that we can connect people with. So a piece of this conversation we've had is how can we kind of connect people to the space of the skate park, provide information about what's going on in a really unique and cool and creative way. Another kind of direction we came from apart from like the program and software of the village was creating kind of a mini space to enjoy and skate as well. So kind of a placemaking piece to it as well. And so we were thinking a lot about kind of the materials we've looked at, kind of the history of like skating and how a lot of things from skating, like elements, half pipes, kind of boxes, they all kind of come from like the built environment. So benches and swimming pools, they were creatively used by skaters, and they get really popular. So combining kind of information as well as usability, we kind of approach it from a little bit of a different direction, but the last group actually had a somewhat similar approach, like we mentioned, a similar final solution, right? So our idea is called the Bankhead Box. And so it's a combination of two pieces, and I've got a very rough prototype, and we have still a couple of moving pieces, but a Lego, I tried to go get popsicle sticks and the blick was closed and maybe flooding, but so a covered bench, right? So there's two pieces, right? The canopy, kind of shaped like a skateboard but vertical. And then the seating piece as well, that would have the ability to be ground on like a grind box in skating. And so an ability to sit and use it, space for like stickers and community maps, information and calendars. Charity has an approach that's a little more built out, and like it was mentioned, mobile. So I'll hand it off to her to kind of show y'all kind of a different approach to the same concept of a placemaking space that connects people to the village and provides really awesome space for people to just hang out, skate, and yeah, generally have a good time. So I'll hand it off to Charity.
Thank you, Stephen. So like Stephen said, we had the Bankhead box that we were thinking of, but we wanted to introduce like 2 multiple like solutions, and we even have more prototypes to just play around with ideas and concepts. Let me flip my screen around. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. I'm technology savvy. So this is the Bankhead box that we also wanted to create. So taking that idea of having like the skateboard designs on it. So you see the top and the bottom has mobile wheels. And then we were thinking like having resource libraries inside, maybe something, an area where they can like post different resources, not only the Village Skatepark, but different members from the community, if they have anything they want other community members to engage with. And then I was also thinking of like a little idea where we could have like perishable items or anything like that. So imagine some foods or resources for people. This could possibly like pop down, sorry, not tip over, pop down and create like this little ramp that people could skate up on. So we do want this to be like larger in size, but compactable, that it holds, maybe can hold like a person or 2. People can come sit and rest. It also offers shelter, which I think when I think of the Village Skate Park, I think of a place that offers shelter and safety for people. So this thing will be mobile. Either it can be activated at different spaces like MARTA, or we can take it to a library in the area, a park. There could be multiple, think like little library, but in this skate form, and something that maybe a neighbor in the neighborhood would want one for their yard, or they want to donate one to the neighborhood and pop it somewhere. And so like another visual thing, please use your imagination, but from different maybe like pivotal points in the community, we're also thinking like on the concrete there might be like some stenciled spray painted items, like a skateboard that might say Village Skatepark or something, and they'll lead and guide people to the skate park from various places of the community. So we were definitely thinking of how we could connect to the community, but also bring the Village Skatepark outside, and bring others and invite them to that space. So if anybody else has some more information from the group that would love to share some stuff.
I just put like a couple things in the chat, but the little library, and then I think another thing that our group had talked about is like the concept, if anyone has seen it, of like booing your neighbors, and kind of that's how you can kind of create some sort of like chainmail communication between each other. So kind of a synthesis of multiple of our ideas of like this ability to give your neighbors what they need, but then also that if it's something mobile, that you could kind of boo people and kind of draw them to this one collective sort of region. And I think Tyrone might have some stuff, or Jennifer.
Yeah. Thanks. Great job, team. Charity, if you have that PNG file, would you drop that in the chat too? Of your mock-up. But I was specifically just adding the concept of asset mapping, which is just identifying different like neighbors as far as not just community members, but businesses, schools, nonprofits, community centers, but anybody who can engage with the Village Skate Park outside of the actual campus. So I just added a Google Doc with this cardboard that I like cut and pasted some stuff on, but essentially it's just like a map of the area, but there are like some stop off points. Well, there would have been if I had time to finish it, but there are like some schools on the map. You can see like the park, the West Side Park. Also on the Google Doc, I just added like different ideas that you can do as far as like demonstrations and parks that are nearby, woodworking workshops that you could collaborate with schools on, maybe have, you know, to tie in with the scavenger hunt and the booing that they mentioned earlier, like have schools compete in some kind of way, and like maybe the winner will have a bench that they build on the campus or have installed on their school grounds. But just a way of having the different businesses and organizations connect with the skate park. But I just wanted them to see Charity's mock-up because that's crazy. It's so fire.
This
Yeah,
is
whoa.
incredible. Everybody give around and do the fingers. Oh my God, y'all.
Roshni froze. Roshni did.
Roshani, there, can you guess? Yeah.
What a funny place to freeze.
Right.
We have dreamt of like a trailer that we could pull into spaces and pop up and activate that way, like so many times. I think that y'all have definitely like found a very useful way to engage with that idea that I really love. And I love the idea of like bringing it as a way of bringing like messages to different places, like not just a temporary program or like an activation, but like a way of connecting neighborhoods. That means a lot to me. Like one of the things that I think about, especially when it comes to like bicycles and bike infrastructure, is like the ability for people to become couriers and like exchange messages through other ways rather than social media. And I think this kind of like is aligned with some of those ideas too.
Max, so when you said y'all were thinking about having a trailer, what are some of the things that come to mind when to make it happen? Like, is it like, oh man, we could do it if we had this, or like?
Well, we did have a trailer at one point and it broke, and then so finding a reliable source of wheels has been difficult, as well as something to actually move it around.
Okay.
I see on the Dream Space there's like a bus. We've dreamt of like a village truck for a really long time. Even when we were like moving our ramps and going to pick them up from place to place, we were like renting U-Hauls, which was like, we wish we just owned one. And there was a while where we were even just trying to fundraise for that because we didn't know if we'd have a space. So rather than be tied to the place, we're like, well, if we had a truck, we could bring this kind of operation to different places as well.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry, y'all. Feedback. It sounds like Max, you're giving feedback.
Yes, because we had dreamed of an idea similar to this, and they were asking, well, what were the barriers of us getting to it? It was mostly just the wheels. There is like a truck that has bad brakes on the property. I forget what they're asking for. It was like $2,000 or something like that, which was like a good investment, but not without the brakes. Yes.
Cool. What about spectators or TK? Rosebud Thorns?
Yeah, I was gonna say I really loved that this concept is bringing the skate park to where people are. Like I love the idea of wayfinding that's on the street, like meeting people in spaces that they already exist in and inviting them into the skate park, I think is a really great strategy. I do love from the first presentation, I like that the architecture was kind of intuitive. So you saw, the shape of it and like understood that it was about a skate park. And I wonder if maybe that's like a rose or a bud that in the mock-ups that maybe you could incorporate some sort of allusion to either skateboards or the different like pikes. I don't know all of the words for things, but some way to make it, even if you saw it from across the street, instead of being like, oh, it's a library cart, even though that might be the function, that if aesthetically it kind of calls back to the skate park, that you might be able to connect it more intuitively that way, especially if you're talking about having it move around town. That way you see it and you go, oh, that's part of the skate park. So maybe that was a bud.
Awesome.
I sent in the chat,
Yeah.
there is a mobile skate shop around too that drives between here and I think a couple other places.
Sweet. TK, did you have something?
I was just curious about like how like what was like the projected size of this like of this installation.
So I was like, I know you guys had said like trailer before, but I was thinking like something smaller that can be like rolled around. Like either you could like attach it to like a small bike, or people could, like stroll it by hand, or it could be like easily moved by like another truck. Because I was thinking, and the group can definitely chime in, but not something that you all had to like require like a heavy duty like trailer for, but a thing that people can like sit in, that resources could be placed in there, but it was still very like mobile in that space. And we were thinking about like definitely utilizing the resources that you all had on property. So however, like finding like a small wheel or trailer system, and like utilizing the wood and the wood shops, and having that be like make the whole piece.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think we may have briefly like discussed it being like scaling sizes, like maybe there's a fixture that's larger that doesn't move that's on the campus, and maybe a smaller size that can be more mobile, or maybe it could scale to being several if engagement is that high. You may need more than one, but it could scale to size depending on what's needed.
Cool. Any other, or is that it, TK, or do you have anything else?
Yeah, that was my only well, I mean I really like the idea, for one. Yeah, I really like being able to like incorporate other entities and like promote other things that are going on. But yeah, I mean that was all like the only thing that I guess was wondering. But yeah, I really like it.
Cool. So anybody have any thorns or buds for the group? And it doesn't have to be just spectators, anybody in the class. Just to throw it out there.
I think I have a bud. I don't think I have a thorn. I love this idea. It's so cool. And I love the way that you did kind of incorporate, like not intentionally, but it kind of was like you got at some of the things that the other group was talking about too, in terms of like providing more seating around the area. So that's cool. I think the bud that I was thinking of, like it probably doesn't fit with this version if you're thinking of like making it smaller, but like because you are thinking of like providing other resources on there too, like maybe it could be used as like a step one towards, or like a demonstration of like future abilities, and like somehow be used as like the seed of a future idea, like because I just got thinking of like when I was part of roller derby in Portland, they had like a mobile, I think they called it like the skate mobile or something. And it was just a van, but they filled it up with a bunch of like roller derby, like skates and pads and helmets and all sorts of stuff. And they would take it to different events that like people had in the community, like free skate nights and different things that weren't even related to skating, and like introduced that concept to people. So like people who maybe thought they couldn't afford it or weren't into it, like learned about how skating could work in their lives. And I think that kind of gets to like the mobility justice piece a little bit, in terms of just like educating people on different forms of rolling around. So maybe it could be just skateboards and helmets or something. And it's another way of like tying in with like the community, because I feel like that was another big thing I heard from everyone, was like, how do we make sure that like the skate park is actively engaging with the rest of the community and like providing a service beyond skating, and showing that they're providing a service to the community and really trying to build relationships with people. So anyway, just like, you got me thinking like, okay, if you have a mobile something, maybe that's like the seed of an idea for an even more mobile something. Whether it's just sharing information about that on the cart or whatever, like, yeah, that's just what I was thinking. But super cool.
Cool, thank you, Hope. So I think it's great, really great job. I think you took the idea that you had of like bringing new people to the village. I think my first bud before Tyrone shared his mock-up was thinking of the specific neighbors. But yeah, you did that asset mapping, so you know, like specifically the schools, you know, those specific populations, and that's what we want. We want to like be specific to the neighborhood. And I love that you're like, this is a thing that you can imagine a Bankhead in 2024 with the skate park, right? And so Bankhead doesn't mean there's no, like, without the skate park, there's no Bankhead, right? So I feel like y'all really pushed that of just like, this is essential. The skate park is essential. These communities and neighbors are essential to this, and you've captured it in this structure. So really amazing job. Congrats! New friends, making new friends. Okay, I have a question for the class. We're in hour 2 of our 3-hour class, and we've only done 2 groups. What's more important to you in this class? To do this, keep on going with this at its pace, or do you want small group time in the class today to keep refining your ideas?
I'd rather see everyone's ideas all together personally.
Who else?
Same, and spending more time on it. I think it's important.
Yeah, same.
Wait, so everybody wants to hear the things. Okay, so then that means between now and next week, there'll be refined ideas with your groups. I mean, it sounds like you're already putting energy in it. And then we can decide what one thing, it might be a combo of things, but what one thing we'll get to do by 4 o'clock next week. Are we in agreement to that? Okay, great. So let's keep going. Thanks. Okay, so we have spectators, you're up. And then who's your, I gotta figure this thing out. Skater comms, you're gonna be the lead feedback.
Okay. I'm trying to share my screen right now, but I'm seeing like a whole bunch of caution signs.
Are you able to progress through them, Sarah? You sent us all a copy, so I can try to share mine too. Oh, yay.
Yeah, I just got it. Okay, so basically I'm showing you guys how they usually spectate. I went to the tournament that they had last Saturday, and it was pretty amazing seeing everything and how they ran everything. Everything ran smoothly. But I'm pretty much showing you, they had the tournament on one side, which is the side you see right here, and then there were other skaters on the other side skating. So I'm not sure if y'all gonna hear it, but my computer is kind of being weird right now. So I'm gonna play it. If you guys hear it, you hear it. If you don't, it's fine. It's just music. Yeah, so that basically just shows you all how they are usually spectating, which is on one side completely. There's not really a way for you to get to the other side, which we were thinking about having a space for people to spectate on the other side, but seeing how the tournaments are on this side, I feel like the ideas that we've come up with really do work for the space. So I'm gonna hand it over to Hope.
Yay. Okay, first of all, I love that video. I'm gonna try to share my screen now. I have some photos I took to show the locations of the places we're taking, and then like an elevation plan of one of the spaces we're thinking of creating, and then I'll hand it over to Hiroko and Emily, and they'll show like some prototype, like physical prototypes that we made of both these two viewing locations we're considering for the space. So let me, oh my gosh, okay. Start broadcast. Yes, you guys are seeing my phone. This is scary. Okay. I'm gonna go all the way to the beginning. Okay, can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a view of a lot of the skate park from one of the vantage points, one of the locations that we're considering creating a viewing space. We wanted you to be able to get some height so that you could actually see everything, and like a significant height so that like you wouldn't be at the same height as like skaters who are like cresting one of the like ramps or half pipes and like being hit in the face. So yeah, so this gives you an idea of one of the vantage points and also like what you can see from there. And then this is this location of the second viewing point we were thinking. So right where the like cold drinks vending machine currently is, we would be putting a second structure that Hiroko will introduce in a minute. And for this vantage point, we were thinking people would come in from that entryway. You can see there's a little door to the left of that, and people would come in through there rather than have to like go through like the line of skaters who are like going down this long like hallway area. And then this is like a floor view of the first location that I was showing you. Like this is where that first picture was taken from, and this is where one of our viewing points would be, right on top of that existing building. So we wouldn't have to build an additional structure. We would just build something to get you on top of the existing structure. And this is just another picture. Okay, and again, another picture of that existing structure. And then here's kind of what we're thinking. So here's the existing structure one more time. And then we were thinking literally what you could do is just build a staircase to get on top of that structure. You guys might have seen Hiroko and I climbing around up there last week. It is a little bit scary for those of us who are afraid of heights. And you do have to crouch down on top, but it's totally stable. All we would have to do is clean it out and put up some chairs. And then again, of course, build some stairs there, because we wouldn't want people to have to like take the little ramp that we took up there. But we were thinking to make it more inviting too, we could put like some astroturf around on the ground and on the steps to kind of delineate, okay, this is the area for rest rather than like the area for skating. And then we would have to put some guardrails up at the top too, of course, because it's so high up. And then we could, you know, there's a lot of existing like fun signage and stuff. So we could either like bring out that table onto this side of the staircase so that you're still able to have, there's like a viewing, like a little case that's there currently. So you could still bring that out in front of the staircase and the blackboard as well. And we were also thinking, you know, you could decorate it with some things that are relevant to the skate park. So like there's a picture of the park cat and a little the skate thing that we donated. And then like one of the other things that I noticed, like looking at the video of that Sarah created, was that like it seemed like a very male dominated space, at least on that day. But I know that that's not the only intent of this park. So creating some sort of signage somewhere, incorporating that into this, that like, you know, all folks are welcome here and should feel comfortable here. And then this is just another view of that viewing space. So you can see we would put guardrails in the front and on the side, some AstroTurf to make it really inviting, and then just some simple seating. And that is the elevation plans for one of our viewing locations. And I'll hand it over to, I think Emily is next, and she's gonna show like the built prototype for this, if I can figure out, boom, stop sharing. Okay.
You navigated technology so well. I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
So Hope did an amazing job of giving like an overview of the space. I made a little model, so bear with me because everything's just sort of on my kitchen table. We might have to back this up. So something that we talked about that was important for us was having people feel comfortable in the space, even if they're not actively participating in skating. So something that we liked about having the two different spaces that Hope touched on is that this space is super cool and fun and kind of in the front entrance. So what you're looking at right now is like the way, so the way that we enter is kind of here. And then this is the case of the things that she was showing. And then the blackboard with all the messages, the door to get into this space, right? Right now, there's not railings. So this is kind of what it looks like. But since this would be in the front door, it would be intuitive for people to understand that this is the way that they enter, with the addition of stairs, which are not to scale. We could still have that kind of signage. Signage. We could pull, like Hope mentioned, pull the case out front so that you could, no, this way, the case out front so that you could still have that visible, and then have the addition of like more signy stuff, inviting people upstairs, go and have fun, see stuff up there. But yes, with the hike, the windows, the railings are the important part so that people can sit and watch. No, can sit and watch. Okay, so that's that. It's just the 3D model of it. And then Hiroko is going to show the other element, which would be the more accessible space over by the other side. So go ahead, Hiroko.
Hi, I feel like her prototype was so good. Okay. Bear with me. So, okay, it comes in layers. I'm not gonna throw my water off the table, but it comes in layers. So this is a big hill. It would be a big ass hill in the corner, but underneath this big ass hill covered in AstroTurf that you can climb up, that would be 9 feet so that you could see clearly over the whole skate park.
And sorry, Hiroko, is this where the other image where the vending machine was?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
It's made together. Yeah, it is kind of like a mountain. It's made together by like different half pipes that I know that there were some half pipes that weren't being used, some half pipes that have been broken. The idea about making it soft by piling up sandbags underneath it. I've done this before in a project and it has actually worked out well. Filled like an entire sort of hill-like garden space with sandbags. It does take a lot of labor, but then also adding other soft layers to the wood, which could be recycled rubber. But if you take off this and then you can see underneath that it really is just fixated, just half pipes together with like a wooden platform underneath it, or like a stage and a very large hill to climb. And we were thinking even more accessible is continuing AstroTurf and getting like, you know, like a couch off of Facebook Marketplace. So then there's another still like sitting location that is like marketed, like, you know, designated being over AstroTurf for just spectators. So people can climb up it. If they can't, they don't have the mobility to climb up it, there's still seating options around it. Yeah, and making it soft.
Y'all, sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I was just gonna like wrap it with a bow because I can't do two things at the same time. So yes, something that we talked about was accessibility for everybody who comes into the space. So people, it is high up on the thing and maybe kind of scary to get to. So if people didn't want to use that space, the hill element would be accessible, you know, for whatever kind of mobility you have. And also
inviting
clear,
for children.
exactly, and fun, right? And also clearly intuitive spaces that you are welcome to sit in for as long as you like, that you don't have to fear like, you know, getting in the way.
Yeah, we talked about like using the AstroTurf because one, it is such like visually so stark, but then also it does become something you can't like skate off of, right? Like it's very, because it's a clear indicator of like, oh no, like this is a place for sitting. This is like a place for something else, right?
Yeah. So I just wanted to reiterate, sorry.
Give it up, y'all. Y'all are just like blowing my mind today. Max, TK, and then Skater comes. What do y'all have?
I was going to second that the turf is a playful way to invite people not to roll on spaces. I think that's an excellent choice. People will definitely probably still try at some point. I just want to, especially if you build something that looks like a hill or a mountain. I think, yeah, I think that's an excellent addition to the space, especially I can imagine just like kids climbing up that all day and being a great place for them to do that. And I think one thing that I was thinking about, I love also the idea of like a place to see that you don't feel like you're in the way. I think one thing that I'm still thinking about in terms of accessibility would be like disabilities and how that's not really accessible to the stairs. That's not maybe harder to get to on the mountain. Those kind of things, I guess, would be like maybe there's a potential for like a third space that is just like accessible on that ground level too.
I thought I said it, but yeah, like there being like we could find like a simple, just some seating on Facebook Marketplace and continue the AstroTurf around so that it's on level. I
This
meant
is
to say that.
where you said by the soda machine, right?
Yes.
You said it was
Yeah,
by the soda machine.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a good suggestion. It's like, oh, them coming in from behind. I really like that. So yes, I did hear
Yeah.
that. That was good.
That also led me to think of the way that people navigate through the space between these places. Like the entrance, I feel like has a very particular, like you're not skating in that space, you're not riding your bike in that space, but getting to the back, finding a way that like creates flow to that space without feeling like you're in the way as well.
Yeah, that's something I think we actually wanted to ask you guys too, is like, you know, there's that like door right next to the soda machine right now, but like it looks like you kind of go through like maybe it's like a wood shop or something to get through there. Like, is that something that you think would be like a comfortable way for people to access, or would we need to like be more thoughtful about like how to get people from the main entrance to that back area?
Yeah, I think in general, it'd be a good idea to create like good flow walking paths throughout the space to connect them in the park as well. I think that would kind of change also the people who skate in that space to like be more conscious of that. I know one thing that we had talked about with a teacher who runs like after school programs was kind of like creating like different zones of where people are skating so that the place closest to pedestrians and spectating is like most kid friendly, people aren't moving as fast, and then like the faster things are like further away from the walking paths. at finding a good way to balance that in the space, especially now that we cleaned up the far side.
Cool. Good questions and ideas and thoughts. TK, I see you. Or no?
Yeah, my phone went out a little, like when she started talking about it over in the corner. I seen a little bit of it. But yeah, I really like the idea of like the seating above like the room. I think it would work a little bit better if we moved it to like where that box is, where we put the bikes at. Like I think it might be a little bit like I think that might be a little bit safer for one, so you don't forget that because you're sitting up there, you forget that it's below your standard. But I think that would be a really good space for an idea like that. And then as far as like the spot that was in the corner, I didn't hear like the full thing because my phone died. But from what I've seen, I think that it would be a really nice thing for people to be like a part of the park, but also, like not feel like they're.
Yeah.
Did everybody get that?
Sorry, it was a little hard to hear you, TK. I think the audio, you kind of have to be like close, but I remember you mentioning to us, there's a little part kind of where the entry counter is, like back where the cashier kind of place is. That also is 2-story that TK had mentioned to us might be another place to look at. So if I heard what you said correctly, you were suggesting that there might be more clearance above like the structure for that. It's a little like yellow build out right there. So it might be something worth looking into. Is that basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Skater comms people, do y'all have any rosebuds or thorns?
Hi. I love what you guys are doing. And one of the things that jumps out for me is just how you've looked at viewing in a very interactive way, that you're experiencing it from multiple places and using, I'm going to call it found objects in the space to create the structures. I really like that. I think that is super creative and dynamic because of what's being done there. It's a dynamic experience. So you want to view it in a dynamic way. So I really think that that's done really great.
Totally agree. I was just like, I think Max said it in the chat, it's elevated. I like lost my mind that y'all went up there. Like we were taken to a different vantage point. So smart. And I love the hill aspect. I think that's and what Colleen just said about like using materials there, the found things. So smart. I think you all got some good feedback from the village around like buds and thorns, around like the execution of it. So yeah, this is amazing. Y'all are doing so great. Good job. All right. So now we have skater comms. Y'all are up to present. And then we're gonna have wayfinding give feedback.
Okay, I'm going to start. So our group is Jackie, Anna Kay, and Sarah, and myself. And let me just say, you guys, boy, the bar is high. So we kind of really just began to brainstorm in the 2-dimension and just want to share some thoughts that kind of were swirling around in our head about the prompt that we had. And so I'm just going to read it here just to remind everybody. Help communicate their ideas, history, and vision to people who need to understand it. The city, developers, partners, funders. And so we began to talk about usually you communicate those things to the business community or the neighborhood in like a PowerPoint presentation. I think somebody mentioned that before. And how could we take that as a challenge and think about how do we communicate or help to communicate this idea to those audiences with something that was more symbolic and that was an object or a graphic that could be an object, that could be 2D or could be 3D. And some of the big things that came out to us when we were talking about how do you communicate ideas, history, and all of that, vision, is really answering the question, I think, for a developer or community member, how does the skate park add value? How do you add value to a real estate developer's redevelopment? How do you add value to the community? How does this organization do those things? And so there were kind of like three big areas we talked about. And the first was community impact. The second was mobility access. And then, of course, arts and culture and identity. And, everybody has said it so far that the skate park is more than just the skate park. It's really a safe space in the community. It's a community resource. It's a place where other community and youth education activities happen. And it's a reflection of the community that it serves. So there were all these sort of words that started to come out of our conversation: storytelling, reflection, movement, authentic, collaboration, that the skate park has become a collaboration with its local community. And so we started sort of fooling with this idea of the wheel and movement, and that in the skate park, there are skateboards, but there are also scooters, and we talked about biking. I know there was some conversation about, doing some programming with Parks and Rec and things like that. And so we started, thinking about, kinetic energy and what movement is and forward motion and this symbol of the wheel. And could the wheel be something that in the center of it, there was some identity created, like some kind of a mascot, with the cat, right? There's a little doggy. We drew a doggy, but like maybe there's some symbol or something symbolic that reaches, all ages, right? With its kind of playfulness, and that it's at the center, which would be like, the hubcap or the center of a wheel. And then the spokes of a wheel. Spokes of wheels are connected to the outer ring, but those spokes would be symbolic of the other things that you bring into the community. Youth development programs, we know you have the screen printing, and you've got the woodworking, and you've got the sewing, and on and on. So the skate park is really more than just a skate park. And then we thought maybe this wheel could be behind it. It could have a reflective surface, that it was a mirror. And so it was saying it because we are reflecting the community that you serve. So whether you're in Bankhead or in another part of town, what you're doing could really be integrated into a development that's going up somewhere else, because it really starts to capture the authentic community, the reflection of that, and really starts to be able to serve the needs in that community, which is something that all developers want to have in their project, which is something that communities want. So those were just some pieces that we talked about. We hadn't gotten to building anything yet. That's kind of our next step, but we were just really beginning to brainstorm, and we really were drawn to this idea of the wheel. And every time, and all the stuff we've talked about so far, some of the prototypes that have been shown, I'm starting to think maybe there's a way to integrate some of this. But in communicating your history and your vision, something symbolic like that could be used in 2D on collateral. It could be used at different scales. It could be used as something stationary that sits as something artistic, when you enter the campus. So I think there's a lot of ways it could be implemented. So I don't know if anybody else on the team want to kind of add to that.
Yeah, there's also an aspect of this where because when we think about building something 3D, I mean, there could be an aspect of this that's digital in some way, so that the reach could expand, and people could understand all these different things we want to communicate past the physical location and out into the community. So we we're kind of thinking about different ways to approach this concept and how to communicate these things.
Any other team members want to chime in?
I think that was very comprehensive. The only thing I would like comment is, we were really thinking about like, or to emphasize, like we're thinking about, this is how we can clearly share the story with developers, with funders, with potential other stakeholders, in a way that could be interactive. Like we mentioned, the wheel moving, whether like one thought was if this was a three-dimensional piece that traveled, like maybe in the trailer that Charity had or on site, that it could like spin like the Price is Right wheel, so there's like interaction with it. But as Sarah mentioned, like also it could be on the website, on pitch decks, for the village, et cetera, et cetera.
Amazing. Is there anything else from the group? No.
No, I think that's it. I think that's where we are.
Okay, everybody give them a round of applause. Amazing. Feedback from Matt's, TK, and wayfinding groups. What are your rosebuds and thorns? Max, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I love all the different ways that y'all thought about implementing this. I think that a really versatile way of communicating what we do is definitely something that we've been looking for. I love that you left space for other things because, like you said, there's a lot of different spokes of this project that could be hard to like nail down and limit. It seems like there's also room to add more spokes. I think this is like an excellent foundation to grow kind of a new way of communicating our identity to people. I could see this providing the forward motion that you were talking about. And I really love the performance aspect, like spinning it with somebody or like being there with.
I think we lost him.
Hello?
There you go. We got you.
We
got
hear
you.
you. Yeah, we hear you the best when you are like right up in the mic, apparently.
I think that's really important for what we do.
I really like just the whole structure of it. I like that it could be 2D or 3D. Like Max said, we could add more spokes. We could also have, I just thought like we could also have, sometimes like on wheels, you break a spoke. So we could like even have that, like a broken spoke and like, just representing a connection that we want to make, or a connection that should be made. But yeah, I really think that that's a really good visual of being able to like communicate our story and our mission and like where we want to go. Cause wheels take you places. So, but yeah, I really think that that's a really great concept. I would like to see how we could turn this into like a 3D model. Yeah, a shirt would be. It's like a 3D and
sure.
2D model. Sick.
2D, 3D, yeah. I think one of the things we came into discussing is really wanting to understand deeply understand your history and vision for like, it's kind of like where we started, where we are, where we're going, and like you're saying, the wheel, the motion can say we started here and this is, and that, you know, circles never end, that it's always evolving and it can become what it needs to be in that particular community. That's where the whole idea of how do you deal with reflection, you know, so that people can see, communities can see themselves within what you do because you're responding to a need, you know. So anyway, we were just starting to dig into some of all of that and wanting to figure out how do we really tune in on that with you and to kind of create that symbolic thing that you see it and you get it, you know, people get it, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wayfinding, folks. Rosebuds, thorns.
I like the idea of a mascot. That kind of plays into what we were talking about, wayfinding, kind of like a central branding image that, you know, kind of ties into what the skate park is. I also like the wheel because I don't know if you mentioned it, but you know, it plays into what happens there with wheels and skateboards and bikes and all that stuff. So just as a concept, I like that. That's really my only input.
Cool. Thanks, Paul. Anyone else? Either in wayfinding or the rest of class?
Hey, I love the wheel idea, and I think it does such a great way of combining all forms of skating, from the skateboarding to the skates to the bikes to the scooters. I think the wheel does a great way of including all forms. And it kind of has me rethinking kind of some of the things that we worked on. We'll show later, because you know, I was originally thinking of skateboard. I made a skateboard, which you'll see later. But now I'm like, man, I think we have to go back to the drawing board and maybe just do something with the wheel to make it, you know, more consistent, that brand consistent throughout, you know, the different groups and the different imagery that we're all making. So I love it. I'm now rethinking like the whole skateboard versus the wheel thing, you know.
Nice.
Actually, I have
Go ahead.
a comment too. Hold on. Let me take I see. Oh. I had the thing up twice, so I was hearing like a really bad echo. So my thinking behind this one, and I was super excited about it because one of my pinch points in learning about the skate park was just the whole concept of like the developers, right? And it sounds like to me that there's not even necessarily a promise that they're going to incorporate this big amazing idea of a skate park and what it was if they come in, right? So, or when they come in. And to me, I'm thinking monetization is going to be important to them on some levels. Like, how do we make money off of this thing? That's just the reality of the situation. So taking this idea of the wheel, which I love that as kind of like a branding element, I think a lot of people could attach to that, just like you're saying, as many spokes as you could fit in there that makes sense. It naturally weaves into that idea that rolls into that idea that you guys are talking about, right? So I'm corny, I'm sorry. So how can, and that was something, because I think our groups overlap a little bit, Colleen. And I'm sorry, I'm not listing everybody in the group, but just this idea of storytelling and how we can wrap that storytelling into something that those developers would want to buy into and can figure out how to monetize. One of the great ideas.
And as you're talking and build their brand around, I know they have brands, but you guys almost, developers are drawn to arts and culture because that's where authenticity lies, right? And you bring that. See what you're saying, Marisa, and you know, you do, you know, and from that community engagement perspective, like they always want to know what's going to make this community approve my development and feel that I have represented this community.
Exactly.
You know, you guys do that. And it's how do you show that? How do you tell that story for them, you know?
Yeah, and I think that branding, like that's a way for you to sell the developers on this is the right place, this is the right element. These are the right elements to include in this skate park, including finding a way to include all ages. Like that's just more of an opportunity for them to get more people bought into their idea. So I would just encourage the group to continue to figure out and think through some suggestions to developers, how they can monetize this, how they can stretch this, how this includes the broader community so they can think, yeah, like you're saying, this is authentic to the culture, and we will profit by sticking with some of the original ideas, culture of the community that existed before we even stepped on the ground.
Cool. Really great job. I think I'm loving this conversation. I think around, I mean, what Max just said is like, can we be the wheels for the community in Bankhead, right? And so you're taking, and I'm curious, Max and TK, how y'all feel, or even like Jordan and Nedra. So like talking to the villagers. So this is like the Village Skate Park has its own identity of like, you know, skaters, and it has I definitely see like DIY and kind of like punk vibes, right? And so is there I think it's really impressive to zoom out and just like capture it in the wheel. And I just want to make sure that the wheel captures who y'all are. If that makes sense. You're muted, Max, if you're talking.
I was filling TK in because he was grabbing some food.
Oh, okay.
Can you
Repeat it?
yeah, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. So could this be the possibility of zooming out of what the skate park how the skate park functions? Because right now, I think when like your logo has like the skateboard, it has a scooter, and I think some other component, right? And so, but it is in a like circular kind of way, right? And so thinking, does the wheel, which is like more of a general idea of like the, you know, wheels in the skate park, it's all wheel friendly, right? Does that encompass your culture enough through this way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't want to speak for the whole community, but I feel definitely like that is something that unites us all in a way that we feel really close to, whether it be our personal wheel or for people who are. I know that like one of the things I notice is when I see people on bikes or scooters or a skateboard, I feel connected to them, even if and I think that the broader wheel, thinking about wheelchairs, maybe not so much cars, but to some degree cars, like it's all how we get there. There is a common thread among all of that I think is represented. And I think the wheel is a good metaphor for the community. Absolutely.
It's what makes the world go round and round, right? And when you just said that, like you guys, with you being in the center, like of how a wheel is structured, your center point, you're making all the spokes, you know, you're fueling the spokes that create the structure for this ecosystem. I mean, I could take it like a million places. Wheel ecosystem that is impacting the community, you know. And I love how you just pulled in handicap accessibility, right? Wheels. And then you're also making me think of multimodal transportation. I know we're talking about mobility justice, but you know, I know the kids in my neighborhood, they're on that skateboard that's electronic. My son's college buddy, he got around campus on this skateboard. It's probably called something else. That's how he got everywhere, right? And it like could go up hills and all this. My son got around on his scooter, and we know that's what's happening on the Beltline, right? People are, and then you're also wheels of baby carriages. Like, you know, you could hit like, I don't know, you bring everybody together, you know? So anyway, sorry, you get me. I'm like, oh yeah, my wheels are spinning.
Yeah, I think even in attention, the wheel is something that has benefited a lot of people, and direct result of like that was the idea of the wheel or not. I think that in the same way that carpets were designed, but it can benefit a lot of people. Like the wheel is the same. Yeah, don't forget about the unicycle people. Babies
The
on
unicycle,
skateboards.
that could be so cool. Yes. And unicycles are so cool. You could see you guys on a unicycle with the other thing that was that a group showed with the cart and like you're like a whole fun thing in the park talking about all of this. So
there's a lot of potential, right? And I think the things you've gotten a lot of good feedback. I think a couple of things that came up, 2D situations, so t-shirts, stickers. I think it might be interesting to consider because I know you said cars max, but I do think there's could be importance of just like, instead of being all encompassing of the wheel, of like these specific micro mobility and thinking specifically of mobility justice for the wheel. And so how does that look differently, you know, or like what does, and that's a way to get more specific, right? And the last thing I'll say is that if you remember Amy's from Future Farmers, her lecture, and the thing that they did when they met with a new group of people, they had an object. They had this relational object. So if you're thinking about this in a 3D kind of sense, could this be a relational object that like TK and Max bring to when Amici comes, or Amici comes with the developers, or you know, that like is something that could be interactive, that could be symbolic, that could be poetic, that could be something, but it's their relational object that speaks to their culture, the importance of them, their story, their vision through this object. So I just wanted to throw that out there too as a possibility. Cool. So we've gone through 4. We have 4 more to go. How about we take a 5-minute break? Yeah? Okay, 5 minutes. We'll be back at 4:56. And Gina, if you have some music, could you put that on?
Will do.
Thank you. I know that was a short break. If you're back, show something. Thumbs up, camera. There's so many like images, like icons that I'm like losing the thumbs up. Gavin, did you have a question?
No, I just hit the wrong icon.
Okay, great.
There's a thumbs up now.
Cool. Okay, how y'all feeling? This is good stuff. I'm fucking excited. So let's go. I think. Oh, let me look at the circle. Let me look at the circle.
Wayfinding should be next.
Thank you, Paul. So wayfinding, you're going to present, and then young people, you're gonna get feedback.
Would I share my screen? It's saying someone else is sharing.
I think Gina just stopped, so you should be good.
Can you see? Oh, I don't know if it's gonna let me. Okay, that's not good. Hold on. Can you see this right now?
No.
No.
Hmm.
Oh, looks like it's starting.
Okay. Let me see if I can. I'm remoting into my work computer because my laptop can't do 3D stuff, but now it's not letting me do that at the same time as sharing. Okay, hold on a second. All right, so my group is Aisha, me, Rebecca, and Ryan, where you looked at wayfinding. And the problem we kind of looked at was it's hard to find where the skate park is, both from if you're driving in and if you're on the site, then you're not really sure where to go. There's a few different ways of wayfinding, kinds of wayfinding. There's the exterior wayfinding, which is what you can see from outside, which would be like signage. The problems we looked at were like lack of signage, the chain link fencing is kind of it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's imposing, I guess. And then there's the on-site wayfinding. So once you actually get on site, how do you know where to go, where to park, how to find whatever you're looking for, basically? And then another group talked about this, but there's also the interior wayfinding. So once you're in the building, how do you get from one place to
Oh, I think you might have just froze. I'm gonna say that last bit again.
Did that not go through?
Yeah, you froze for a little bit. I think you left off maybe on point 3.
Where?
Point 3, interior wayfinding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just once you're in the building trying to find things, if you're trying to find the restroom or something, basically. So we looked at mostly just on-site wayfinding because exterior wayfinding could be a bit tough because once you move outside to the public right of way, you start to have to get permission and permits and all that. So we're just looking at on-site stuff that we wouldn't really need to go through a third party to do. So this is currently what the entrance to the building looks like. And while all the artwork and everything around it is fantastic, it's kind of busy when you're actually there. It's hard to tell where you're going because there's just so much going on at once. So it kind of takes away from something like an entrance. How do you find it? So our decision was to look at more 3D elements that kind of stick out a bit more. And I realize when I'm saying that's kind of adding to the visual busyness, but something that sticks out literally in 3 dimensions is something we were looking at. So this is something I just rendered in a 3D program. It's just like a wayfinding sign, directional sign, where it has directions with a color kind of combo for Village Skatepark and the other businesses too, to kind of highlight what else is there on the site. And this is just something I was mocking up in 3D rendering, but it's this kind of sculpture branding image to look at, create out of skateboards and wheels, I guess. And I also added some spokes to it while the last group was talking because I liked the idea of spokes, but I can't show that at the moment. But let's see. So this is as it stands now. And then kind of just adding in these elements like having a signage. And these could also be used for the interior spaces as well, something like this. And we just thought that maybe it would, tie it in with the skateboards, something that would be easy to make. And then other elements would be like LED lighting, somewhat cheap, but also doable.
Paul, I think you might have just froze again. I think you left off at LED lighting.
Okay. So just looking at different types of things that are relatively cheap and doable on a short-term time scale, like chalk on the asphalt and stairs. If we were to do some kind of sculpture, I don't know how much this awning could actually handle, but if we could mount something up there, that would kind of be cool. And then arrows, just kind of like a branding image. So red is Village Skatepark, so the red leads you to where you need to go. Yeah, that's about all I have. And I believe Aisha made some more prototypes. I just did the 3D design, so I'll turn it over to her now.
Thank you, Paul. That was awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Aisha. I just have some more prototypes of like what the signage can look like. And some of the things that we spoke about is kind of what Paul was talking about, of having some, focusing on the exterior and interior of the space. This particular piece could actually, depending on it, again, it depends on like permits and what can be out there, and what the recommendations and considerations are for having things outside of the gate. But this was like a kind of like a skateboard signage that could be, if possible, collaborating with, you know, with the wood guys. I'm sorry, I forgot their names, but kind of creating this wood shaped sign that can sit out there. But then if you look, you know, there'll be like a dent in here where this could be for gardening, you know, this could be, or like a small, like either as planters, but I was trying to think of something that can be mobile. So this, they can take this wherever they go. So this can sit, which is why I have the stand right here, but you know, you have to fill it with something to have it stand. So having whether it's rocks or something heavy, and then putting that dirt in the plants on top to have it stay. Of course, we have to figure out the durability. Can this last outside? What's the lifespan of this? And that's something more we can talk about when it comes to like the type of wood we use for this. Even if it is wood, I just thought it'd be really cool to collaborate with them in making this wood. But then this could be also something that you can take with you and go, if y'all want to be mobile. This could be something, if y'all want to, you know, set up shop or do a pop-up somewhere, this could be, you know, something that you can place wherever that location is. This one's similar to what Paul did as far as the rendering. This was like a rough prototype, but same thing where I'm thinking of things where you can take it with you. So having it mobile. So this, I tried to make this bottom part, it's kind of hard to see with my shirt being the same color, but it's trying to make it thicker to where you can kind of feel this so that it can be outside and still stand. But then these are also things that you can put inside to show where the bathroom is, where the wood shop is, where the silk. So those different things could be in the form of skateboards, possibly. But after hearing the group before us and just having an image, a branding piece that's consistent throughout, even throughout our groups, I think was really important. So like, as I'm listening, I'm like sketching out like, okay, if I had to change this from a skateboard, I started sketching like, okay, what if we did kind of like a wheel? What if we did like a wheel as the signage, and same concept where this could be filled here with something to have it stand, but it'll be the shape of the wheel and have, you know, Village Skatepark going around. And there's another idea of like kind of having it on like a pole. And then even if we're thinking about like changing the logo, rebranding the whole logo, that was just something I was playing around with. But I don't know, that's something, just hearing you all today, I'm like, okay, you know, you really got my mind working. Some other things that we talked about was, and this also can tie into some of the other groups where they mentioned kind of murals on the ground and on the sidewalks. There's some examples where there's wayfinding, even if it's not like an artwork, but just having painted lines guiding you from, like, whether it's where Gavin has the MARTA stop, having those lines painted down the sidewalk onto the path of where the skate park is and into the door, because it was kind of hard to find it that first day. I think that was it, and it's kind of, and we'll show more examples of that maybe for the following week. But I think that's it. Paul, let me know if I'm missing anything, or if anybody else from the group has any other additional things they want to add.
I think you covered everything. I'm just sharing this again because the PowerPoint kind of cut off the bottom, but just the last thing that you mentioned, the murals on the ground, just kind of guiding you. I think this gives you a better idea of that roughly.
Yes, because, you know, we don't want to conflict with or compete with what's already the art that's already on the wall. So something as a simplified line, or, you know, the shape of two wheels rolling down, you know, to the door, something simple where it kind of guides you to the front door from the sidewalk of the front of Donnelly Howell.
Amazing. Really nice job, y'all. I love, did you make that wheel sketch like 5 minutes ago? Amazing. Love it. Okay. Let's see. Feedback time.
a bud.
You can go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a bud. I love the mural on the ground idea. It reminds me of this one viral video I saw where some kid was skating in someone's garage and then they drew like a track so that he could keep doing it. So that's an idea. We can make it into like a track so people would, follow with their skateboard or whatever. But yeah, love everything. Love all the prototypes. So cute.
Yeah, this is really cool. I know the wayfinding has been a continual kind of conversation early on, and just in terms of accessibility and navigation. I think the only thing that I would kind of be precautious about is, and this goes for branding too a little bit, I think there's a way to approach branding that doesn't absorb like a lot of time and doesn't have a lot of like practical results. So where sculptural elements are really interesting, I'm concerned about like the amount of time that we're spending creating something that doesn't have like an immediate value maybe, or just like finding signage in a way that's going to expand the way that the park works, not just add more artistry on top of it. And if we are doing stuff with artistry, like how does that become in a collaboration with the community outside of the skate park and within it, as opposed to us just creating something? Does that make sense? So not necessarily that that's bad, I don't think it is at all, but just in terms of time frame and kind of our role as like somebody, I mean, we're here to like start a spark of something, not to totally complete a mission, if that makes sense. So just having something that's like a little bit more mobile or changeable.
Yes. Daisy, I think your point also makes me think of like the growing aspect of it too, like especially with the signage where there is kind of an interactive garden that would be front facing. I think that like is a really like an awesome thing that ties into what we do and what we want to present the space, but also is like an we would need to like care for and the community would need to care for. How do we make that like a good transition for both us and our community that represents that project? I think this is all definitely like ways we need to go. And I also love the idea of a sign that can be moved, especially because the site gets used for a lot of different events and movies and things like that. That it would be important that we could change where people are getting this signage. And yeah, of course, like sometimes what it says too.
That's actually a good point. With things changing, I was just imagining, because I think that rendered this in 3D, so the text and the arrows are all kind of additional 3D elements. So maybe if we were to do something like this, we could have a magnetic element, so you could just kind of switch out things easily on the sign itself.
Yeah, I also, Paula and Aisha, I really like the incorporation of lighting as a method of wayfinding as well. I think that that could be like super efficient and go really far in terms of accessibility and mapping access within the skate park itself.
I just want to also lift up Jordan's comment in the chat that increased signage is definitely a plus, as well as a consistent color theme to guide the users of the space. I love the planter idea. The mobile idea of it, and the there's like wheels coming out of the ground, kind of like that has the impression of that. I just feel like that encompasses a lot more of what the skate park is than anything else. And you can have multiples of them throughout, so that it gives you some kind of cohesion versus the graphics itself. So yeah, are there any more? I see Majira, the signage also can be used inside the park and add it to the previous proposal. Yes. Any other rosebud thorns?
I have a
Yeah.
I love the wooden replica of the skateboard idea. But I also like it with the wheels. I like that really big chunky wheel on the bottom because then you can use it as you can actually move it with that. But then like an idea to add on to that is like just add more wheels on top. So going back to like the wheel metaphor of like all the like spokes. So if it's like this is super crude, but just like the big wheel. This is like a side view where it's just like a bunch of wheels. So then those like wheels are interactive and you have a big wheel on the bottom to move it, but it still like looks like a skateboard from the front. And then you could still have like multiples of them, but I think that like crafting of a skateboard was like it feels like so sweet and then shows all the detail from like all the other businesses that help to make it. So showing the woodworking is showing like the ingenuity of like the maker space is showing all the different wheels from like a skateboard wheel to like BMX wheel or whatever. And it's just like kind of within this one like really cool skateboard. So I think that's like super interesting.
For sure. Yeah, that big chunkiness is awesome. Anything else for wayfinding? Then give a big round of applause. Good job. Now we have young people, and it's storytelling that's gonna give feedback.
Yeah, we are working in the young people scope, which is kind of thinking about how we can involve young people in urban design within the skate park and outside of it. So it was me, Nicole, Marissa, who I don't know if she wasn't able to join us over the week following a family loss, and then Jordan. And I think we were one of the groups that maybe could have benefited from more time in the prototype, but we found a lot of overlap between our concept, what you guys have presented, because young people are so deeply involved in every single aspect of our discussion. But we kind of centered around two key ideas in how to involve an educational element and gain some kind of data and understanding about how the skate park could evolve based off of young people's perspective. So the initial concept is that we wanted to develop a curriculum that would invite students or young people to create like a dream skate park using trash and found objects from around the village. So doing kind of like a micro tech deck, similar to the model that you guys have in your in the park already, and use that as a way to talk about and educate about what urban space is and what urban design is, and invite them to kind of really expand and be creative about those ideas to conceptualize how like their ideal space would be, like a space that's built for young people first versus adults first. And from those vignettes or the way that they're constructing those pieces together, we're able to get like a new perspective on how we could maybe compose the park differently, compose outside of the park differently according to their prototypes. In addition to that, if this is like a curriculum piece and it's going into schools, I know that Max had talked about early on, and this was in other conversations, like a mobile skate kit that can be brought to schools. So like having two of these curve ramps. If you look at Nicole's video in the corner, she's presenting, she built all the prototypes, yes, which is super awesome. So these kind of like U ramps that we could join together, flip around so they could be in different directions so that kids can kind of get the experience of what it's like to be on these kind of objects while other kids are potentially working on creating their little trash models. And this would be something that we bring into classrooms. I think Nicole is also showing, I'll let her talk too. Nicole, do you want to talk about what other pieces you built as a part of this kind of skate kit?
This is the kit. It's not really built pieces, but it's just showing we could use household objects or whatever the kids are bringing in to the classroom.
Yeah, so we could, as like, there's kind of two scales happening here. It's both that we're bringing in real ramps, skate gear to show them what skating feels like. And accompanied with that is like trash and found object models of creation for the vignette. And then we kind of conglomerate those things together. So that's kind of where we're at on that. But it sounds like, I mean, some of this feels so similar to like the mobile library and that sort of thing. So there's like, I think this idea and thinking about the way that young people move in spaces is actually like a really huge umbrella for this entire project in general. So we're definitely open to conversation, like talking about what ways we can continue to incorporate youth perspective into this, and then also think about what ages we're considering. That was a big part of our discussion, was that there's like this inherent freedom that young people have between the ages of like 4 to 10. So the way that they move and understand the world could be like quite creative and open. But then as the kids get older, between let's say like 11 and 18, they start to get informed by like social structures, and they begin to start seeking that freedom, especially in urban spaces. And that was like a key theme of our conversation, is how do we talk about freedom of movement, freedom of expression within this curriculum. In a practical application, I think this could be tied pretty closely to like state standard curriculum pieces if we wanted to make it like standards aligned, and then build it as a curriculum toolkit, both in a physical model and in the actual curriculum itself, to start becoming a part of the educational model for the skate park.
Awesome. I just want to take or just comment on something that you said, Daisy, about that, you know, comparing it to the skate park, the other mobile ideas and things like that. I think there is something specific here that should be its own thing. And so what I'm hearing, it's like a curriculum or some kind of workshop that allows kids and babies like Vibe that's joining us to to design, right? So I don't know, is life there or no? No, it's okay, it's okay.
It's asleep.
Oh, okay. I think it's really important to have kids in this process. And so TK has 2 kids. So I don't know if your kids want to be involved, but there are kids there. There's also, is it Ari's kid that goes to the skate park?
Yeah. Remix.
Okay, I think that was yes. So I just put something in the chat, and I think what you're, and this is more of a bud than anything else. Remix, okay. That there's something that y'all can push where it's like, where is the power and that kids have? And usually kids don't have a lot of power. Adults are already always telling them what to do, right? And so the skate park is a very specific place where if they just put on a helmet and some pads on, they can go do all this crazy stuff. And so, like, to have that liberated feeling, I think that's really important to have in your project. And so one way to think about it is there's this group called, the social practice group called Mammalian Diving Reflex. And they investigate power differences between people. And so one thing is that they have a project where kids give haircuts and to adults. And like most adults wouldn't want children with scissors, right? And so they're actually setting up a construct where kids can actually not even play with scissors, but actually cut adults' hair, and they have to like live with it. And so that in itself is just like so crazy, but it gives kids the power that they're usually not given in their lives. Another example from them, I can put the link in a second, but it's called, I think, Teenage Night Walks. And so there's this idea that teenagers are up to no good at night, right? And like we don't want them on the streets or whatever. Well, instead, they're actually giving tours of like cool places that they hang out with people in the neighborhood. And so that's another like power shift that is empowering these populations, these youth populations that usually are like told not to do this, not to do that, not to do this, right? And so I think there's a lot of potential of pushing that in your prototype and how you're thinking about it, because if you are asking about what age group, you can be specific. You can be with little ones. You have little ones flying around that skate park time, and then you also have like teens there too. So you can play with these things and get even more specific and play with the different dynamics that are offered there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think there's like more thought work that we can put into the way this looks and feels within the park. It felt pretty expansive. But thank you for your ideas, and I welcome like conversation to kind of grow this as a concept. And a lot of this attention was kind of focused on outside of the park, but I'd like it to be reciprocal. So if we're putting something outside that's an educational model, how does that feed back into the park itself, whether it's through participation, parent membership, that sort of thing. Like it's generative in some ways, inviting kids back into the space. But yeah, I think definitely when you're talking about children and youth's ability to redefine spaces according to their own power and freedom, that the skate park is a really good way for them to experiment with that in somewhere that's like safe and structured.
Oh, is that life?
Yeah, life is up.
Nicole, do you want to show your? There you. Okay.
Hi.
What do you think? I heard that. They would play with it.
Yeah, one of the things that this can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that this make me think of is we did a thing a while ago. It was called Skate Park Design School. It was something that like Max came up with, and then like I started helping him with it. But we essentially like showed the kids the different obstacles that like make up a skate park, like the different materials that skate parks can be made out of, like kind of a rough like outline for how skate parks get built like in cities and stuff like that. And then like the kids were able to like miniature skate parks and miniature ramps out of what we showed them. But yeah, this just made me think of that just in kind of an expanded version. So I think that incorporate those two ideas to make like a program that we can offer like in and out of the skate park. So
I think that with that was creating a place for that information to go after that experience. We had one really motivated group of high schoolers that actually presented their parks to the Parks and Rec department, asked them questions about design their skate parks and things like that. And then they got, people to promise that more skate parks get made, but how do they how are they able to hold these people accountable in a way to make sure their ideas get implemented or that they're like being heard? And where does that data go? I think one of the connections I made when Daisy was saying connecting it to the mobile project is that could potentially be a place where that kid's input lives. Like say, for example, if we design a mobile space or a temporary space or an installation that lives outside of a schoolyard, then maybe the kids who go to that school have a lot of direct input in designing what that interaction looks like. And we would be able to see what they are looking for in their neighborhood to some degree. And I made that connection as like, if we give them a place where their input can live and is visible to other people, then they maybe have a feeling of power that they can change their built environment.
Yes. Any other feedback for young people?
I was gonna say that as a rose, the tactile nature of the kind of parts that you mentioned is so like attractive to school age children. And then a bud is how could these elements be applied to subjects like science and math and language? So there's so much potential. So not only it's the interest in the culture, but also just the general subjects the core subjects that schools teach. And I think the challenge is which age group, because there's different developmental learning groups, right? So like, what do you choose and how do you apply that and how do you get that into the curriculum?
Right. And I think that's a big kind of thing to grapple with, is this like age group and how they interact with one another. But Max, what you were just saying about the power of kids influencing their own built environment, like if teenagers are crafting work for younger kids, the younger kids are producing ideas that then the teenagers build. Maybe there's like a cyclical creative nature to this, where we lean into the generational differences between the different groups that we're working with and find a way to kind of connect those things together in a wheel.
Amazing. That makes a lot of sense. And I think Jordan is putting some stuff in the chat. Having input influence on the development of the space can be the power for the young people. Certain colors and textures help create an aesthetically pleasing space that people want to go to. So yes, really great job. Anything else? Last thoughts or anything for young people? Then congrats! Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now I think we have storytelling and then
I think Marissa's gonna share her camera, right? But you're on mute. So I can't see you. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to share this first before you explain it?
I think, how does that work? Can you share your screen? Because if I talk, then it doesn't show, right?
Oh, okay. You need me to share my screen. Okay.
Hit her screen.
Is there anybody else in the group that can share their screen? Because I'm on my phone. I can switch back to my computer, but
You can share it. You mean like the slide?
yeah, like the document.
So our group is Ameda and Haven and Maria and Marissa. Last week we had, sort of sat around this piece of paper and kind of drew what was inspiring to us in our environment. And our topic was cultural preservation. And one of the first things that we had really talked about was storytelling and how oral history has the largest impact on our cultural preservation. And so how do you turn that medium, this auditory medium, into something that's 3D, something that's you know, interactive or engagement or engaging. And so we thought about, well, what if we took the shapes and forms around us in that space and turned that into a place-making marker or storytelling marker? That it could be multiple different types of forms. They could be set throughout different areas of the site. They could be within the building as well. But those forms, it could be built to look like, represent what the ramps are and the pipes are, but they also could be adapting the existing forms there. And using that as a way to connect to an auditory or video recording through a QR code. And these videos and recordings are showcase, highlight stories from people who are part of that cultural environment, so part of that skate park environment. Not only that, so we developed this form, our prototype, and we took that and inspired by the different elements. These shapes are meant to be interactive. Sometimes what we also built upon was how skate culture, wheel culture, adapted the environment to their needs. So can we make these forms adapt and be moved or adjusted throughout the site? In a way, how do we tie that to the whole neighborhood or area of Bankhead, which also, you know, will face change? And how do you preserve those stories, which these cultural stories are not only representing those in the past, the present, but it's going to be ever changing. So in a way, having this like auditory video type of recording can always be updated. And yeah, I think that's, and I think Marcel can show our prototype, our updated prototype. So how can we like inspire the engage and engage people through words, through artwork? And the prototype could just be, or these place markers could be form of art, right? As well as a form of a place to reflect, to use. So that's pretty much it. And then I can invite the rest of my members to speak to it too.
Yeah, so you saw some of the earlier images on the screen of just this concept of using the actual space to carve out areas where we can tell about the history of the culture. We can get specific about Bankhead culture, skate culture, and that can come through visual and actual forms within the space. So this prototype really just represents kind of like a skate park. Or if you think about the existing skate park and what it would look like if we started to incorporate maybe like some QR codes and a set of headphones, and maybe there's some artwork and to go with that. So you may be skating, but you may just be an observer. And how can you be incorporating the space to learn more about the culture, the history of the area, and the art form itself of skating? So this really just represents a built out skate park in some effects, and these types of instances can happen everywhere, but we want to make sure that we're telling that story throughout the built form. So maybe there's a place you can sit down and click a QR code and put on a headset and hear more about Bankhead specifically and how people started to develop the concept of skating, what the history of skating is. You can see different forms of artwork or graffiti or the skate stickers as well, potentially all added into this form to be a living way in which you can tell more about the culture. So it's rough, but just the idea that there's transparency, there's the incorporation of the different pikes and ramps, and how this all can be made within the built space that already exists. Or if there's a new built space, how can we start to incorporate how we tell the story about the history of the culture and the area. And Amita, definitely feel free to jump in and share what you made, and same with the QR code Haven. We thought we were going to be in person to put this all together, so it's a little bit more in pieces than we anticipated. But share your screen and share the artwork. I think it looks totally great.
I can talk a little bit about more of the QR code idea while I'm getting it pulled up to view if you want to like look at it. Essentially the idea was we have like one or a couple members of the village as is come and just sit down with us. We record their stories, maybe layer it over videos of certain tricks, activities, movement in the space. And then our model is just an example of like what one station could look like, or multiple stations could look like, but adjusting those stations kind of to the story that's being told. And so the example I put on this QR code was a video I found of people on YouTube like using the space. And so if you're wanting to continuously update this, like the village could have a YouTube channel where they can input future stories and things like that. But or they could leave it the same, but it's something that's always accessible and something that people can find while they're in the space, but even go back and reference even when they're not there, that just still tells the story and connects them to it.
Great. Is there anything else? Is Amita sharing something or no?
No, my contribution was the design that was going to go on the boxes. You see the skateboard design. So it would just be the blank surface. The whole surface would be covered with some fun graffiti stuff. So
amazing. Great. I love and there's a follow your like Skatepark has a YouTube, but I love the I think what are our people already saying, there's like sound and listening booths already coming up. But let's do feedback. What about the village and then food group?
This is, am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay. I love this. I can see myself interacting with it in so many ways already. Immediately it made me think of, could this booth be used to also capture, record, and like collect stories that other people might want to tell as well? And that was just a thought.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea, Max. And I definitely can see like with maybe the redevelopment I can see it both ways. Either the redevelopment of the space completely and this idea is incorporated and you have these corners of interactivity. Maybe you can even record tricks and tell new stories like you're talking about. Or if we were able to keep the space that exists and incorporating like in the corners, and throughout the space of the built activity you already have, some interactivity with history and QR codes and that kind of thing. And one thing else I wanted to mention is I also thought about an idea and I shared with the group. I'm not sure if they were all on board or not, but just gonna share it because I feel like a lot of these groups and the ideas overlap, but is there a way to use this as a feature to share for many different ages to come out? And even if they're not skaters, they can learn about the culture, they can learn about the history of Bankhead. And it's something that is an activity for them to do as well. And if I personally don't think it should be, but I know I tend to think that developers think this way. Is there a way to monetize it? Is there a way to draw folks out and get a more full like experience where they have a guide, whether it's a guide via your own personal headphones or something that you sign up for and have people kind of walk you through that. Different features and elements all throughout the space and on the property as a whole.
Great, thanks, Marissa. Anybody from the food group have feedback?
I like
You got it.
Okay. I like the QR code and the oral history and the feeling like and that being having like access, like everybody having access to that. So I guess that's a rose. And I can see like how this is very important that people know what has happened here, where they are, and everything, and it'll be a good reminder and a way for like people, the community's identity to shine through. Passive element.
Awesome. Who else was going to, who chimed in earlier?
I was gonna say something.
Okay, great.
I really like the idea. I think it would be a great like a fingerboard model would be a great prototype. Just to see how people interact with it. The only thing that I wanted to add in was considering like different wheel types. We've been like it was very like skateboard heavy, but just like considering and like having representation for the different wheel types like bike, scooters, aggressive inline rollerblades and stuff like that, would just broaden the demographic of people that we're interacting with. So just like figuring out how to make representation for those inside of the model would be really cool. I think it would take it to the next level.
I agree. I think we were thinking because there would be multiple place markers, and so one could be about bikes, and one could be for inline skating, another could be for skateboards. So yeah, it was just hard to show in one prototype, but yeah, we were thinking multiple forms.
Amazing. I love this, and I love that it's like you're thinking about collecting in different forms and sharing and having it throughout the skate park. So really amazing job. I feel like y'all got some really good feedback too on which directions to go to. So amazing. And then last but definitely not least, we have the food group. And I do just want to, I know that this has been a long class. I feel really energized by all the work that y'all have been creating. If you can stay over, it would be awesome. We got a thumbs up from the village too. If you can't, totally understand. This is being recorded and we can catch up afterwards. And so food group, here we go. And then we have streets giving feedback.
Food group.
Are you talking? You're muted.
Sorry. Was on mute. So our group is food group and our project is called Food for Thought. And it's a performance art and community engagement project that we designed to express the critical role that Village Skate Park plays as an anchor for the surrounding community. Located in a food desert, Village Skate Park serves as more than a recreational space. It symbolizes the deeper needs of the community, including food justice and mobility justice. So our idea is an immersive dinner that will highlight the challenges residents face in accessing healthy food due to limited mobility, income disparities, and other barriers. This event will aim to engage the community and stakeholders by providing a platform for dialogue and about the interconnected issues of food access and transportation. Erica?
Okay, so project objectives is to raise awareness of food deserts by situating the dinner in a food desert. We aim to educate attendees about the limitations residents face in accessing fresh food and nutritious food. Highlight mobility justice. The event will underscore how transportation options or the lack thereof affect food access. Attendees will experience varying levels of based on factors like age, income, and mobility, but other ones too, but those are some. Community and stakeholder engagement. Through pre-event surveys and personal invitations, we will gather valuable feedback on how Village Skate Park can continue to serve the community in holistic ways. And so there will be a survey as a part of this. Promote Village Skate Park as a community anchor. Village Skate Park is more than a skate park. It has the potential to be a hub for resources, social engagement, and advocacy in addressing issues like food access. Lauren?
Awesome. So can you hear me? So the skate park would be the primary location. And basically we would again have the event titled as Food for Thought, a community dinner and performance art project. The date is kind of TBD, but it could be maybe sometime in the fall when it's kind of cool outside, just an idea, but we're open to anything. The attendees would be selected community members and various stakeholders. So this could be prospective developers, this could be roller sports enthusiasts, this could be local government leaders, maybe MARTA administrators, and spiritual leaders who have a vested interest in Village Skate Park and the community in which it is situated. And those invitations for Food for Thought would be basically based on responses to a survey that Nedra is going to tell us a little bit more about.
All right, thank you, Lo. So our plan is to distribute a Google form survey, as Erica mentioned, before the dinner happens. And it is during this time that residents will ask about, well, we will ask in the survey, we'll ask residents about their use of the skate park, to understand how they use the space, to also get their views on the park's role in the community. There's one thing about having an idea of how you are connected and involved with community, but it's always good to hear back from them what they think and any sort of potentials that they also would like to see. To understand their personal challenges regarding food access. We know that Bankhead is in a food desert. We mapped out where food is located or where it can be found. And it's like all the way to Marietta or back over towards the West End. It's a good distance away from the community. So that makes food sort of inaccessible and definitely not healthy. And also expensive because it's largely restaurant food. And the closest grocery store is the Walmart that's over on MLK, which, you know, how fresh is fresh at Walmart? And then also suggestions for how the Village Skate Park could address food and mobility challenges. During this survey period, we'll be able to receive their email addresses so that we can send personalized invitations to those who participated in the survey. And I'll pass it off to Nicole to tell us more about the dinner concept.
So attendees will be presented with a menu map that reflects the reality of living in a food desert. Based on factors such as mobility, age, and income, participants will experience different levels of food access. limited options for certain age groups, or excuse me, certain groups. Individuals with mobile disabilities will receive very limited menu options, reflecting the challenges they face in navigating areas with few food outlets. Older adults and low-income attendees will also receive fewer options, illustrating the intersection of food justice and income inequality. There'll be more options for car owners. Obviously, if you've got a car, you can get farther and you have more access. The menu map visualization. Each table setting will include a menu map showcasing the limited food outlets within a given radius of Village Skatepark. This will visually illustrate how the availability of food changes based on one's mobility, access to transportation, and financial resources. The performance art element, the dinner will be staged as a performance art piece where the disparities in food access are part of the narrative. This will be highlighted through the differences in meals served to each group. The dinner itself becomes a metaphor for how people are fed or left hungry based on their circumstances. Pass it back to Edie.
Yay. Okay, so we'll be highlighting mobility and food justice. So for mobility justice, the project will draw attention to the fact that mobility, or the lack thereof, is a form of inequality. So those with limited transportation face greater challenges in accessing fresh food, often relying on convenience stores or fast food, which exacerbates health problems in low-income communities. The food justice aspect, we will be addressing food deserts and linking the lack of accessible grocery stores with the systemic issues around income, age, and disability. And this project will offer a real-time demonstration on how food injustice disproportionately affects certain populations. Okay. Goals and impact. Education and advocacy. By the end of the dinner, we want attendees to leave with a deeper understanding of how mobility issues are tied to food access and to feel motivated to advocate for solutions such as improved transportation and better food options. Community feedback. The survey and dinner will provide insights into how the community sees Village Skatepark evolving to address food and mobility justice. Strengthening Village Skatepark's role by position Village Skatepark as a vital part of the neighborhood, not only as a recreational space, but also as a key player in addressing larger systemic issues affecting the community, and highlight Village Skatepark as an anchor that feeds the community in more ways than one. Yeah, that's the goal and the impact, but like really it's like the people that are all be in the room. Like it'll be all different types of people in the room, and we'll be discussing mobility justice and food justice. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, thank you. In terms of our logistics and timeline, again, maybe the fall, like very soon. This could be an opportunity where we might launch the Google Form survey to gather the input and build a list of attendees. And this could also be something that could support Village Skatepark, and basically adding to their own list of people who see themselves as vested people who are connected to the community and who are interested in learning more about Village Skatepark, because maybe they're not on roller skates or on wheels, but they're also like very interested in the community. And we would also kind of compile those responses from the survey qualitatively, and then send out those personal invitations like the one you received via email, which shout out to Erica for putting that together. And then we would finalize our performance narrative and the corresponding menu logistics that ensure that our experience that we're offering people really reflects the themes of mobility and food justice motifs. So, as a follow-up, I think we would facilitate either an in-person or an online debrief process to gather feedback and inform future projects of impact.
So we anticipate that there will be some outcomes that we did not identify, but through these successive rounds of discussion and feedback, we hope to get a lot of information. But there are three areas that we feel like would help to move forward after the dinner. One, increase community engagement around the intersectional concerns of food and mobility, food justice and mobility justice. An actionable plan for the Village Skate Park to continue being a community anchor and resource hub. And then finally, a greater awareness among stakeholders and residents, community members broadly about the role of systemic inequality in food access and mobility, and the importance and the role that the Village Skate Park provides in this area. Nicole, pass it off to you again.
So once the survey is completed and invitations are sent out, we'll organize a planning meeting with key stakeholders to finalize menu, performance elements, and logistical details of the dinner. Thanks for considering Food for Thought as a collaborative effort to highlight the vital role Village Skate Park plays in the community. We look forward to working together to raise awareness of these critical issues and foster meaningful change.
Oh, and just to add one element, we expected for this to be a kind of a farm to table event where we connect with local farms in the area, and they would be the individual, we would receive all of our food ingredients locally.
And we also have like all of this compiled data, all this compiled data of like who our audience could possibly be, and just how we can, because we've been working through like the menu and how to better communicate the menu. But the map, when you first come to the dinner, you'll receive a map of it being a food desert, but the map will also be the food menu of how you order your food. And based off of your map, that's the food options that you have and whatever your identity is. And so we would like to invite y'all. I'm gonna try to share my screen. I've never done this before, but let's see if I can make it work. So, oh no.
I also have what I think she's trying to show on my screen, so I might be able to show. Erica?
Yeah, you can share your screen, Edie. But we would like to invite y'all to Food for Thought.
Wait.
Just like the invitation y'all received today in your email.
Can you guys see?
Yeah,
Yes.
and this is our mock-up of a nice dinner inside the Village Skate Park or outside the Village Skate Park, and the food will be delivered by people on skates. The hostess will have on skates. And yeah, and we just believe that the way that the dinner is designed, it'll be designed to foster connection and conversation and answer questions, create questions, and just raise awareness. And yeah.
Yay.
Yes, and the table will be made from found materials at the skate park.
Yes.
We would use found materials, but y'all, it would be like high class.
Yeah.
The Village Skate Park is high class.
And we're gonna make like flower arrangements from whatever forage we forage from around the skate park and such and such and such.
And I think it's important that like whatever the project is, like I would just, since we've started this project, I think it's important to have the right people at the table to make an impact. And so the point of having the invitation is because like when you receive a personal invitation, it'll be a personal handwritten like note invitation. When you receive a personal invitation with your name on it during like this time, it's not something that we do anymore. And so like we would like pull on that string on like how to get the people into the room, and then yeah, it'll be based off the data in the survey. But that's our project.
Yeah. Also, oh wait, sorry. I just wanted to add this detail because we discussed it and I thought it was cute. But we talked about making like the meal like a course dinner. So like the first course is like dealing with like mobility, and then the second course is like age. And so like just going through this like timeline of like the different obstacles you have to go through in order to even get your food. But that was just like, you know, fun idea.
Yeah, and then the people that gotta wait a long time for their food, that means I mean, I feel like the thing is like if you're waiting for your food a long time, like that's just what you have to deal with if you take away Village Skate Park from Bankhead. There won't be anything, no substance for the space. So that's the end. That's
Yeah.
performance art. Thank y'all for coming to dinner with us.
Amazing. Okay, feedback from the village and the streets. Oh, Max, I can't hear you.
Gosh, I'm really curious how this might tie into storytelling as far as like the performance, and maybe like what is prompting some of these conversations at the table. And it also is tying into like, yes, in so many ways. We actually just are getting our first boards made, like our first village skateboards made. And on the bottom is forageable foods that you can find in Atlanta in the fall. And I think that would just align with kind of like what we are trying to do with our platform in a lot of ways. So I'm hungry thinking about this already.
I just wanted to say something really quickly, but since we were last and so we got the chance to hear everyone else's proposals, I feel like every single proposal kind of coincides together, and it like doesn't matter which one we choose. I feel like everybody's idea fits within everyone else's ideas. So yeah, like it's like past 6 in my brain, so gone, but y'all know what I'm trying to say.
I think I can answer Max's question about how it ties into storytelling. So I think the art aspect of the dinner will be the map. I think that the map is going to be how the map menu, because it's also how you pick your food. And then like when you have people sitting there waiting and they imagine that they came to a dinner, they're gonna want to talk about it anyway. Why are we waiting so long? And it's just a natural, that was something that we discussed, is like how can this become like a natural conversation and like storytelling. But the map menu is gonna be set up like a nice menu. If you go to a restaurant and you'll flip through the pages and the story will really be able to tell itself basically. I think that's the best way that I can answer the question, but I think it does tie into storytelling. It'll be so many people in the room that can tell their story, and some people will be having real life situations, real stories that they're telling, and real experiences that they're having.
I'll just say real quickly, just to add to what Erica said, is that we had talked about having specific questions for people to answer so that we get some of the same responses to some of the similar ideas. We did talk about concrete jungle and just like forageable foods, but also the fact of the matter is that around, really on the west side, there's slag, there's all of these industrial spaces, so that makes the land also highly polluted. So there's an environmental justice aspect that storytelling is happening, but also to really connect that to the experience that people have with growing food, i.e. finding farms in other places to deliver food. So how do you create a healthier environment? How do you clean your environment as well? So, and then just using the grounds of the Village Skate Park. I mean, we saw designs of prototypes for, I don't know if you call them, ramps and rails and different things like that, but they can be places to collect stories, they can be places to grow food, which was also, but just remembering that, like Edie was saying, everything kind of rolls into each other and grows out of each other. So if everything has a multiple use, then I think we really do cover everything.
Yes.
For sure. Streets, do y'all have any feedback?
I really love the idea of the intersectionality of food desert and the park. I only have a thorn that the other day, the volunteers that support this advocacy, because that will be creating a lot of expectations, a lot of information that can be part of the storytelling, but also what are the structure that will support those outcomes. I just thinking that the other day, Max, and you probably say that is in the good track or no. You were saying like when you have the garden, there was not enough volunteers to do the garden. For this incredible idea to put all of this information and collection of data, what will be the organization that can cooperate and work with Village Park to support these ideas? But it's great, and I love I love also the vision and the performer art and all of the things. I just was a little concerned about what collaboration can be developed to support this.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. One of the things that I thought of, and someone said it earlier, was like connecting to local farms and things like that. We do offer like incentives for people who come and volunteer here, like free day passes, free memberships, and things like that. So maybe some of the actual people who help support the event, those are some of the things that we could offer to them along with free food. Um, but one of the things that I thought of um, would be like connecting to different organizations in the neighborhood that um, already give food away. Uh, there's a spot down the street. It's like yeah, the grocery spot. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that, but they give out free food um, like 3 times a week, and like it's one time to the public and then two if you have like a certain credential, but just connecting with groups that do that to help, you know, like supply the food and also make it something where we could have it more than one day, um and incorporating how how like food and access to like good quality food helps like the athleticism that goes into riding wheels, like skating and you know things like that. When you talked about the performances, like we can incorporate people riding ramps, you know, like myself, I'm very like health conscious, um but just like in the sense of like the performance arts, I think it would be really cool to um, turn some of that focus towards like the performing art of like actually riding wheels and like you know doing tricks on bikes and scooters or whatever wheel type we have. But yeah, I think that that would be uh, just you know something to consider. But I love the idea. We should definitely do it. Oh, and another thing I was thinking of was how we would put the menu together. I guess that would kind of go into um, the food that we have like on hand, but yeah, just like figuring out what that menu would look like. I know you said like a map, so that would be you know like one of the places to start. But yeah, just like creating a menu around that seems a little challenging, but it also seems super creative. And yeah, I would just like to see you know how we can make that happen. But yeah, I love the idea. I think it's dope.
So much. Thank you so much. Sorry. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wrote all of that down. Definitely still in the process of thinking through the map menu, but we've thought about many different ways that we can communicate it
but that's what we're working on, like how to make that make sense. We thought about like having like, if you want like a 1 mile snack, then you'll have like a gas station snack or something like that. Or like if you want the 15-mile dinner, then you gotta wait a long time or you gotta drive. And also just having like a $500 like Uber dinner, because Uber Eats is not accessible for real. But we thought about so many things. So working through the math is definitely be a class effort.
Yeah. And I wanted to just say, we did discuss when we met yesterday, the idea of like giving people like characteristics so that they can't really choose for themselves. So like assigning people an age group and a mobility classification, I guess is like the best way to describe it. And then whatever they're assigned, they have to go and choose their menu options through that way. So not really allowing them to decide for themselves what they eat, but being given different characteristics that maybe aren't what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and kind of like navigating the menu in that way. Yeah.
And I love everything in the chat, y'all. Thank y'all so much. And
yeah, this is amazing. There's a lot of stuff in the chat that we'll save for y'all. And then I think the strongest thing around this is it's a really great idea, but it's also like there's a lot of twists in it, right? Like you have this fancy dinner at a skate park. You're being served by folks that are like on wheels. And it's a food desert. So what will your food actually be? And it's actually, like all of these juxtapositions are like it's extremely subversive. And I think that's the strongest thing about it. I would push it. I mean, take all the feedback that you can, but I think the more subversive you can push it, the more interesting that it can be. But it's an amazing idea. Oh my God, we did it. Y'all did amazing work. We still have a bunch of people left. I just wanted to commend y'all because I gave y'all the challenge last week of like, you had to bring people outside of your group and have us imagine your vision, right? And I don't know what y'all think, but I believed all of your visions. So really, really incredible work. How was that experience for y'all in doing this together, in this collaboration? I see some thumbs up. Snaps. Hearts. So everybody had a pretty good collaboration and like it was a manageable thing. The village is in the love fest. Okay, great. So these are the things that are our next steps. One important thing, we now have an understanding of the range of possibilities, right? Of what we can do. We need to figure out next week, we would love to have a fabricator kind of like just help us kind of like think about polish to whatever project that we're doing. The closest geographically fabricators are Aquinas and Joe, right? Does it make sense, I'm asking the group, to have them be the fabricators if possible? For the projects that you saw? Yeah? Okay, great. So then, Max and TK, could I get your help in making sure that they're available and we can talk through having them help with fabrication next week? Is that possible?
Yeah.
You said yeah? Okay, cool.
We can help coordinate that. It's as far as like materials go.
Right, so this is the thing. We, from now until next Thursday, I'm putting the Rise Up pad link in the chat because we all gave feedback and we heard feedback, right? And I think an important skill to have is like synthesizing feedback. So I would love for each group to do 2 things on this Rise Up pad. One is to, what is the feedback that you heard for your group? I think just like putting that pretty clearly and succinctly would be good. And the other thing is, what's your direction now? You heard people, so like, what are you gonna do with this feedback? So those 2 things. I recommend y'all just having a little like quick chat with your group before doing this, but getting that information together and just putting that in would be good. How's that sound? Yeah, okay, that's thing 1. Thing 2 is to implement that feedback, right? And to just push your project forward. And what we want to see next week is the projects incorporating the feedback, as well as Jackie asked about refining. So refining means that when we see your prototype next week, like the class can envision, oh, we can do this in a week, you know? We have the resources, we can pull in the skills, we can do this. Cause the thing, I think the dinner y'all had mentioned like another day, it was like whatever event we're doing is gonna be on October 10th. And it's gonna be during class time. So that's our class. It's from 3 to 6 p.m. And that's when we're releasing our project into the community, into public. So that's how you're working on your prototype more with the feedback to bring something in. You've already created incredible visions for people, to bringing people along, and now it's just to solidify it a little bit more so that it can feel realistic to do it the following week. So think about resources, thinking about like start thinking about what connections y'all have. Tyrone made that asset map, like those kinds of things are things to consider. And like Max put a shit ton of resources in the chat today. So like there's a lot of stuff here that y'all can pull from. Does that all make sense? Yeah. Okay, great. Well,
I have a quick question, sorry. I was able to save the Zoom chat the other day. Is it possible for anyone to do that, just to have all the links that were put in here? For someone?
I usually save that.
Okay, yeah, I can't do it on my.
There's little Rose. More baby.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll save the chat. We'll share that and along with the recording too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for staying later. You are incredible, creative, collaborative people. I am so energized. I hope y'all feel energized. This is all very inspiring. And more soon. Oh, and one last thing, Roston also did make a point. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to him. He's happy to brainstorm. Just like send him an email. Okay. Thank you all. Y'all are the best.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Rosie says bye.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Hi, Rosie.
Have a great night. Be safe.
You too. You too. Be safe.
y'all.
Thank you.
How are y'all feeling, Max and TK?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Yeah, these were really inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm like
It's
shocked.
cool.
So, sorry.
In the past.
Sorry, I can't really hear you.
Oh, I was just saying it's cool to hear all of the ideas. Some of them are like more refined versions of some of the things that we've like brainstormed about doing in the past. Like having the trailer and like having an installation out in the front and like just things like that. So it's really cool to just hear or just even like the program with the youth. It's like those are like all things that we've like talked about and like I guess like just talked about and aspire for. So it's cool to hear like the synchronicity of everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that it seems like they captured the pulse, or they're on the pulse of like what.
Same. I had a question next
Okay,
week.
okay.
I got a question about bringing the fabricator next week. About bringing
Wait, try again.
I have a question about bringing a fabricator next week.
Yes.
Are they there to help just provide feedback for these project ideas and how doable they are? Or are they to actually build with these people?
So that's a great question. So
With
yes,
us.
materials, I didn't talk about that. So we have a budget of $2,000 that we can spend on this project. And I think we have a little bit of like budget to pay them for like being in the class, for like their work in the class. I think it's $500 each. And so with that $2,000, we need to create a supplies list, and we need to like get stuff. So do if I just don't know how to coordinate that, and like if there's like it might just have to be in collaboration, or yeah.
I think collectively we could probably all figure out the best way to do that too. I know there's a lot of places to find materials. They might not all be in the same spot.
Okay.
And even like we can ask for donations and things too of materials.
No, totally. But I guess like if there, I think some demoing would be good. For like if let's say we pick our project, I'm hoping that like the first hour we can just like really just go through the projects and like select one, and then from there, Joe and Aquinas can bring them in, and then they can, I guess, give feedback on how to build it, or like how to polish it, and like what are the things that they think about from going from prototype to a finished piece, and then um, and then building from there.
I think that helps. I'm wondering, like you said, a demo, it might be good to bring some materials in to play with next week then, right? Because a lot of people mentioned wood, some lights, which I think are some materials we have here already, like an old skate deck, spray paint, those kind of things.
Okay.
Because yeah, coordinating that like build schedule, I think will be crucial to do in a week.
Yeah, but there's 35 of us, so.
True.
So should do you want us to bring stuff on Thursday?
I'm thinking like a list in my head already of just like materials that we could play with collectively. Like being an old skate deck, we would have one here. Some spray paint, like some pieces of wood and some LED lighting. I think we have most of that here. I'm trying to remember if there was any other materials that were named. We don't have a printer, which might be helpful. If we're printing out things like QR codes or even just like prototype, printing out the graphics and sticking them on things. Cardboard is great. I mean, because even looking at the designs that they presented, I was like, I will show you all how to build a ramp. You know, that was like one thing that I was like, y'all could use this information.
Right. Okay. So then I will see about us If there's a home printer or anything that we could bring.
Yeah, or maybe if like in people's continued prototype process, if there are like materials that they want to just see how they would work in this setting or like get more information of, so that they might be more useful in that week of building.
Okay.
Because I'm imagining like bringing them in, it'd be almost like a training moment for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would they need any like special, like, I don't know, goggles or whatever, or like?
I will see how many we have, but yeah, I would probably.
Okay. Cool. Great. Thanks, y'all. This was really helpful, and I hope I hope it was good for y'all.
Super sick. Yeah, I see a lot more movement and things that we've always dreamed of happening. So it's like, nice work.
Yay, amazing.
The only thing is, people keep calling quarter pipes by the wrong name.
I don't even know what any of that stuff is. What were they doing?
So the half pipe is the full half of the pipe, right? Like U shape. And it's pipe, P-I-P-E. The quarter pipe is the quarter of that. So just the one ramp.
Ah. What were they calling? What were they saying?
I heard half pike. I heard people calling the like any ramp a half pipe. You know, it was like, we're close. We're so close.
I know there needs to be a little bit more education on that front too.
I know. I was like, one of the like on some of my curriculums, that is like part of what we teach them. So maybe I'll bust that out too. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Ah. Hi, cutie.
You're famous.
Hi. Hi. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again. Y'all stay safe with the storm and everything, and I'll be in touch soon.
That sounds great. Have a good day.
Thanks, Roshani.
Thank
you
you
so
too.
much.
Bye.